Rysair VT Wiggle Yippee.
Oh yeah, we're so back. Twitter has become utterly uninhabitable. New fighting game came out. I'm not invited, of course, but new fighting game's out. Got oops, where the hell am I? Hello. Okay, there we go. Yep. So Twitter totally uninhabitable today, and probably for all time now that 2xko is in the sphere. Thank you for the resub, also Evan. Welcome. Yippee! Much appreciated. Welcome back to the tournament staff for 25 big months, just over 2 years. Very much appreciated. But yeah, Twitter's cooked. Everybody's saying, new Darius BNB, and it's ABC launch, ABC special. Land, ABC Super. Hell yeah. I guess that is by definition a BNB in that game. But yeah, I don't know. It really irks me. It really irks me when people post like that. And I get it. I mean, it's not like they're trying to be... it's not like there's any ill intent behind what they're posting, right? They are actually trying to be helpful. So I shouldn't be negative about it, but I'm so tired of seeing it. And it's always just like... ABC Super. Of course, shoutouts to White Beast with the greatest tweet of all time. Sounds riveting, Naruhodo? Yeah. The greatest tweet of all time, of course. The Grand Blue players are posting again. Is probably my #1 all-time tweet. So, yeah. Okay, other update. My monitor died. There was a power surge at my house, and I wasn't even home. And I have an Asus monitor. Oh, fuck, yeah. Asus. And I read online, they're like, oh, if you have a power surge, them shits are gonna die. But sometimes they only die for like a couple days, and if you leave them unplugged, they'll come back to life. Which is nonsense, by the way. I forgot to unplug it again. I had it plugged in because I was trying to set it up for the stream, and it wasn't coming back to life. So I went ahead and unplugged it again. They say something about... Yeah. They say something about residual electricity or something has to, like, disperse. I don't know about all that. But I'm probably going to give it another couple days. And if it doesn't come back to life, I'm just going to buy another monitor. So with that said, also, chat is now in a different spot than I'm used to looking to read chat. So I will definitely be reading chat a lot more slowly. And then on top of that, my stream preview window is now no longer visible because I don't have the monitor real estate. So if I'm pogging out, you might want to tell me. I think that covers all the updates. Oh, actually it doesn't. So I went to a Grand Archive tournament this past weekend. That was pretty much the last of my heavy traveling for a little while. And we got some pretty good results. I didn't top 32. I got 58th out of 280-ish people. So a little less than I want to do. Top 32 was my goal. But with that, I have reached diamond level event points. I got 486 event points for that. I am now platinum, which is what this little logo means. Or I guess up here it's easier to see. So I'm now platinum ranked in Grand Archive. And if you go to the leaderboards, oh, I fell one space. I'm ranked 103 globally, which feels pretty good. Top 100 get a special recognition. They get this special symbol, as well as some extra rewards at the end of the season. So I'm like right on the cusp of top 100. I just have to like do good at probably one more event, or like, you know, stay consistent at locals and stuff. And I'll probably pump myself into top 100. And if you go to just US, I'm ranked 59 in US, which feels really good. A lot of really good players on these lists. And yeah, you can me sitting right here. Suzu's also really high up there. Suzu's ranked 68 US. Probably puts her somewhere in like the 130s or so world. Pretty good. Yeah, very happy with that. Very good performance, I think, at the Ascent. So happy to have been able to do that. Hey, Sabardik, how's it going? Hey, Bold Froggy Cat, how's it going? Okay, let's cut the music. So, more importantly, it's Umineko time. It has been a while since we've been to Rokonjima. Wait, was there someone whose tag on that list was Okage Business? Yeah. Okage Business, aka Burner, is one of the best in the country. He's so good. Yeah, and that's his tag. Okay, so what happened last time? A lot. I don't even know if I can go to the extent of recapping everything that happened last time. Oh, I have to show my cursor again. So you can see. I don't know if I can even go to the extent of everything that happened last time. Hold on, I'm trying to find a place for everything, for all my resources. Okay. Let's here. This should be good. Okay. So, Beatrice and Battler played another round of their game where Beatrice is trying to convince Battler that she is a witch. Battler kind of almost fell for a ploy where Beatrice kind of played a more sympathetic role. She played almost like a sheep where she, pretended to turn the other cheek, pretended to be on the side of Battler, pretended to fight off the evil Ava Beatrice. And as such, Battler started to trust her. And then she was like, hey, sign this paper that says I'm a witch. And he's like, oh, I see what you're doing there. He was actually stopped by Angie, his half-sister, from the future, who was pulled back into the game by Berncastel. Man, every time I describe something in this game, it sounds like I'm getting crazier and crazier. She was pulled back from 6 years in the future by Berncastel. 6 years in the future after Ava, who was the only survivor of the Rokonjima massacre, used her fortune to essentially imprison, kidnap, keep Angie under her thumb and unable to live a life. And Then she passed on the fortune to Angie, and as such passed on the role of and title of Beatrice. So there's Angie Beatrice now, who has come back from the future to participate in the game, it looks like. I also think there's a bigger game going on above the Beatrice and Battler game, and I think that's the Lambda Delta Bernkastel game. I think they're trying to, or they at least have side bets on the result of this Beatrice game. And I think a lot hangs in the balance of the result of this game. I think from the witches' perspective, the three witches' perspective, essentially getting Battler to play his hand and concede is pivotal into whatever they have planned. Hi, Shira. Good evening. Okay, it's time. Episode 4, Alliance of the Golden Witch. Good morning. How shocking that you haven't been forced to surrender even now. By this point, even I am forced to expect a lot from you. Not all of the game takes place on the board. How about taking a little peek at the outside this time around? They say that if you know your enemy, you need not fight 100 battles. The difficulty level depends on you. The manner in which you've fought up until now will greatly influence the difficulty of this game. Hi, Shiro. It's time. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be, my model's going to be pogging out a little bit because this story is very obviously fictional and fantastical in nature. Any resemblance is entirely coincidental. Did they always give that warning? Monka? I think they did. It's just been so long since we started episode 3. October 4th, 1986. October 4th. Okay, they're flying to Rokonjima. Oh no. You alright, Battler? We're already on the ground and you can't fall any further than that. Oh right, Battler's freaking out on the plane that they were gonna fall. In the lobby of the Nijima airport, Maria dashed around in excitement. Battler's uproar on the plane must have been hilarious. Hey Maria, cut it out. I'm sorry, Battler. Please, don't take it badly. What a pathetic guy you are. Even with that huge body, you still can't handle vehicles? Ugh, shut up. All humans have one or two things they can't handle. I can't handle Byakuya corner pressure. Battler, why don't you come with your aunt on an overseas trip sometime soon? How about Europe? I'm sure you could manage a half-day trip on a plane. Stop it, Mother. Battler's dislike for vehicles is probably genetic. Oh, you mean Asuma-san? For some reason, she just couldn't handle vehicles. That's weird. That's his mom? His mom couldn't handle vehicles? Pretty much anything other than a bicycle or a car, which are both vehicles. Whenever we tried to go far away, that woman was so annoying with the not this, not that. I'm scared, fall. Gyato. Children tend to learn that the things that parents can't handle are dangerous. I'm sure Battler saw Asuma doing something like that and learned that vehicles are scary. So it's Asuma's genes then, is it? Who knows? Those would be some pretty annoying genes. That's enough talking about Asuma. Right now, you're the one who's here. Right? You're right. Sorry. Interesting. Hey, the cars are here. Exactly 3 of them. Get in, get in. Where's the parachute? Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. I don't know who you're talking to. Hold on, stop right there. I'll send you to the little girl tickle punishment. Ah. Being in high spirits is such a wonderful thing. Without Battler and Maria, the atmosphere on that airplane would have been pretty grim. Thanks. I'll assume you mean that literally. Hey, brats. The taxis are here. You can play around later. Ooh, taxi. Maria calls shotgun. Maria, you two battler. Stop fooling around. You'll bump into someone. The tone of Aunt Rosa's voice grew a little frightening. When even Battler realized they were fooling around a bit too much, just as expected, he bumped into someone. Oh, sorry. Battler, you guys are going in that car. You're keeping them waiting. After George urged him to hurry on, Battler apologized to the person he had bumped into and ran up to his parents, who were telling him to come quickly. Who could he have bumped into? Angie? With a clunking sound, the doors on the 3 taxis were shut one after the other, and they departed for the harbor. As the taxis dashed away, the entire world grew suddenly dull and slowed to a halt. Whoa. Incoming. Yep. Voices, the wind, and even sound, all of it stopped, and all the people who were trying to move froze like the instant someone takes a photo, coming to a halt. People and the machines and the clock hands, even the dust dancing in the wind, were frozen. Some people who were walking froze with one leg still in the air. Scraps of paper dancing in the wind were pinned in midair, frozen in place. Then, among the shadows standing still in this unmoving world, a single one stirred. Ah, Angie. It was a girl. The girl Battler had just bumped into. Though she had moved, it was a truly subtle thing. Her gaze dropped, and her shoulders lowered a minuscule amount, and she sighed. That was all. In a normal world, that probably wouldn't even be taken as movement. But in this still world, it looked very out of place. Then, something else moved. It was a black cat wandering around in the shadows near the taxi rank. It came up right behind the girl, and leisurely changed its form to that of a human. Baron Castell, okay. This was no cat, it was a witch. Of course, the girl was also a witch. And as the witch stood still, her gaze still downwards, she muttered, I can't stop everyone from going to Rokkenjima, can I? You cannot. On October 4th, 1986, you are not here. If I were, would stopping everyone really have been possible? Well, I can't imagine what a 6-year-old girl could do to make them turn back. Wait, a 6-year-old girl? Okay, so she's from farther than 6 years in the future. She's from, like, 12 years in the future. Still, that's right. If you were in this place, the probability wouldn't have been 0. Whenever there's a probability greater than 0, I can seek out a miracle. If I hadn't been sick, and they hadn't left me behind, with her head facing downwards, the witch tightened her fists. They were trembling very slightly. You were sick in bed starting October 3rd, 1986. And Beto's game board is sealed off starting October 4th. You are not given a chance to avoid getting sick. In other words, it would normally be absolutely impossible for you to enter her game board. Well, thanks for being patronizing. I know that. I know that just seeing Father, Mother, and Oni-chan healthy like this, even that alone, is a spectacular miracle. Angie had tried to stand in the way of her family, attempting to stop them from leaving the airport and heading towards Rokkenjima. However, it was impossible for her to exist on this date, so she couldn't do it. Even though her brother had only bumped her and apologized. Even though she hadn't realized she was his own little sister, it had been such a miracle that she could cry. Okay. So hear me out. What if she was on the island every time? She stowed away somehow. She snuck her way onto the island. What if there was a 19th person on the island? I guess Beto has said in red that there wasn't. But I don't necessarily know that that's still not a loophole. Sorry about the sarcasm. I won't waste the miracle you've given me. I'm glad to hear it. Come, let us go with them. To Rokkenjima. All of the pieces are already gathered. The curtain will open on the 4th game. By this time, Beto and Battler will already be seated. Rokkenjima, to where everyone's fate changed. The Rokkenjima of October 4th, 1986. What happened on that day? I'll expose it. I'll learn what it is, and I'll bring them back. As he stood there with her fist still clenched, she surely turned her face up to the heavens. A single teardrop from the depth of her eyes dripped down in the air. And when the time started moving again, the two witches' figures were swallowed up by a blowing gale and erased in an instant. Oh, jeez. Oh, it's the Guyu Gang intro. Game is so good. My favorite part is when Jazz shows up. Yeah. This is everybody from the previous one. God, this game is so good. This is such a good story. I really... Climax is in like 2 months. I have to finish this. Whoa. This song is so good too. Ooh. Ooh, what was that family photo? There was a lot of stuff there. Oh man, I kind of didn't focus hard enough. It said like Angie the Golden Witch. There's a lot of stuff going on there. Hi, Reith. Good evening. Ah, if it isn't Magnus motherfucking Carlson. Good morning, milady. My, you do appear to be in a good mood. What a pleasant awakening you seem to have had. What do you mean, pleasant awakening? I was so excited I couldn't sleep a wink. After all, the curtain is rising on the fun fourth game. It seemed that she truly had been so excited that she hadn't gotten any sleep. Did she show absolutely no signs of lacking sleep because she was young, or because she had the mind of a little kid? Renov chose not to say that aloud and laughed pukuku instead. I really ran that battler into the ground last time. Ah, the look on his face when he was like, "You tricked me." That was so pathetic. Even so, is that guy still feeling down? Feeling down, you say? Well, that's right. That man's a bit too trusting for his age, isn't he? Indeed. Although you could call that his charm. Ain't that the truth? Ain't it the truth? Well, speaking of which, didn't he totally fall for that one last time? Yes. Totally and splendidly. I fell for it too. You violated the purity of one never deceived since the time of his birth, as well as his rosebud-like innocence, all to your heart's content. Even the joy of dashing across a field covered with beautiful new snow on a winter morning, and trampling it completely, wouldn't even begin to compare. Didn't you take Balor's innocent heart? And quite thrillingly, splendidly, atrociously, mercilessly, and unculturedly, just go a little too far? And you insulted him to the highest degree, enough to make one uneasy. Most people would be crushed after something like that. So much so that they wouldn't want to see your face ever again. I know that much. I also, thought if he was too disheartened to join us at the table, even though the fourth game is finally starting, that would be such a pain. So I came to you, thinking that it'd be better to prepare a countermeasure for this case beforehand. In that case, perhaps it really would be best to prepare such a countermeasure. I am sad to say that your North Wind and the Sun strategy gave Battler quite a shock. Oh. A shock, you say? How bad? Beto lowered her voice slightly, asking timidly. Renov followed suit and lowered his voice in the same way. The truth, he has been crouching and clutching at his knees for some time now. I spoke to him several times, but he did not answer. I also brought him some food, but he never even touched it. That's troublesome. Is he really feeling that down? Is he double crossing her? Is he like doing the same strategy now, pretending to be all like down and out so that he can trick her? It's only natural. After all, you thoroughly beat him down, milady. That would make most people start to distrust humans. Oh, distrust of humans? How convenient. Let him give up on humans and trust witches instead. Oh. Sorry. I shouldn't fool around too much. Beto, I tried to joke about it, but the situation seemed to be quite serious, so that even she took the hint and hid her laughter. Is it really that serious? Should we just wait a little longer before beginning the 4th game? Berncastell's guest will be arriving, so it may be best to open the 4th game quickly. However, perhaps you ought to show a little concern for Battler's feelings, milady. Concern? Show concern? How do I do that? He is feeling... Oh, banger. He's feeling down, so that's right. I shall cheer him up. When a person's heart is dark and closed off, interacting with them in a dark manner gains you nothing. Your only option is to shine with a brightness stronger than the dark. Ah, my eyes. Luxem sight. Damn it, quit messing around. Oh, jeez. Battler, over here. A croissant baked by Renov would be wasted on the likes of you. Why don't I enjoy it myself? Battler's stomach involuntarily growled at the fragrant smell of the croissant. His breakfast plate was empty, but Battler hadn't eaten any of it. The biggest glutton of the 7 Sisters of Purgatory, Beelzebub, had waited for Renov to leave, and had then come to snatch the food away. Battler had noticed, and they'd been really noisy ever since, even though Beelzebub only had to give it back immediately or else throw it into her own mouth right away. She intentionally ran around in circles, making fun of Battler. Give my breakfast back, damn it. If you give it back now, I'll let you off with a single flick to the forehead. But just you try eating it. What are you gonna do, eat me instead? Jeez. If you think you can, just try it. I bet I'll be as sweet as honey pancakes. Command grab. Gotcha. Right now, I want to eat that bread even more than... Oh my god, Battler. Be a good girl and give it here. So you resist until the end. No way. No way, I won't give it to you. Even the croissant wants me to eat it. This is insanity. The Ricky Lake, Jerry Springer, like, applause as Beto walks in. Good morning, Battler. Are you still moping around so early in the morning? It's the beginning of a new day and a new game, so let's get our spirits up. She flung the door open. Like a marathon runner drawn on a certain caramel box, with her hands held high in an idiotic cheeriness, Beto appeared. For some reason, flags from around the world and confetti scattered about, perfectly completing this magnificent entrance. Battler and Beelzebub, who had been fighting over the croissant, completely forgot about their argument, speechless. Good morning, Beatrice. I'll just be on my way now. Here, Battler. Say ah. Hey, morning, Beto. Glad to see you're cheery this morning. Beto and Battler looked at each other. It seemed neither had a clue what was going on with the other. Battler. Battler, what's going on here, Renov? He looks totally fine, doesn't he? He's not clutching his knees. He's answering. Wait a sec. He was even in the middle of eating. No, he was sleeping like a baby in his futon, clutching his knees. I informed him that it was time to wake up, but he just wouldn't rise. I tried to feed him, but it seems that a naughty cat wandered in and prevented that. Renov's always just having fun. Renov, you tricked me. You should talk. Weren't you the one who played that massive... Oh, Battler pranked her. Weren't you the one who played that massive trick last time? I don't have a clue what's going on, but looks like you got what you deserved. By the way, Renov, nice one. Thank you very much, Battler. The two men stuck up their thumbs as though they understood each other, chuckling together. For a while, Beto was very energetic, trying to hide her embarrassment. Oh, turn. Am I frozen? Hey, don't take me so lightly. You really think I'd still be hiding in a corner, holding my knees? And who was the person crying their eyes out in frustration last time? You could have gathered your tears in a jar and called it face lotion. Shut up. That was just because I was a little surprised by your crappy act. I might have looked a little lame, but don't think the same move will work twice. Of course not. Don't disappoint me by falling for the same move over and over again, okay? Yeah, just you watch. I'll show you that I'm a guy who gets stronger every time he's beaten down. But Beto. Yes? Nanda? Don't do it again. Oh. Why is that? You really are weak against a rear attack. You and I are enemies, and will certainly never join forces. I now understand that clearly. So don't you ever try to trick me about that fact again. You say that, but knowing your weakness, I'll... Beto thought they were still joking around, but that tone had disappeared from Battler's expression some time ago. Beto felt as though his eyes were like the surface of black tea that had cooled down. You hear me? Don't do it again. I don't get it. I might do it again when you've forgotten, right? Don't do it again. Pierced by his strong and forceful gaze, Beto held her tongue. Maybe she was certain that Battler would break that silence with laughter. However, Battler's serious expression didn't change in the slightest. So to break that silence, Beto had no choice but to start laughing herself. Very well. You and I are worthy opponents. No matter how friendly our relationship, we'll never be anything more than a pair of enemies. If you have not mistaken this, that is enough for me. That's right. I almost forgot that you were my enemy for a second there. I won't embarrass myself like that again. I won't fall for your rear attack again. Never again. Okay. It seems I'm not the only one who cannot wait for the fourth game. I'm pleased, Battler. Come, take your seat. Yeah, just how I like it. Clever little tricks won't work anymore. Oh, stop acting so tough. You remain in a state of surrender for the last mystery in the previous game, the mystery of Nanjo's murder. My answer for that one's still on hold for now, but that doesn't mean that I've lost heart. I'll definitely break out your red truth and show you that I can deny witches. A commendable attitude. You truly are a man like a phoenix. Don't betray my expectations. With that, let us raise the curtains for the fourth game. But before that, it seems we must welcome a new guest. A guest? You remember as well, correct? That mystery girl who appeared at the end of the last game without an invitation, ruining my fun? That person. Yeah. She says she wants to join our game. I sent her an official invitation, inviting her to join this match. Renov, summon our guest. There's no need. I'm already here. The voice that answered Beto's call came from the darkness in the corner of the room. When Battler turned around in surprise, he can now see that mystery girl there. My. How rude. And all you had to do was greet us as soon as you arrived. I don't make a habit of talking to people before punching them. After I punch is a different story, though. Oh. And what is it you would say?
Have a nice dream.
She's so sick. How amusing. How truly amusing. Beto cackled and clapped her hands. But that was only Beto, and nothing rose to Battler's face except a bitter smile. Wow. You sure are a fighter. Battler and the girl's eyes met, and he shrugged his shoulders as he spoke. But the girl didn't answer, giving only a cold stare in return. You helped me out at the end of that last game. Thanks for that. I don't need your gratitude. You were just slacking off. I only told you to open your eyes. That's so true. Stop slacking off, Battler. Beto tried to laugh as though sympathizing with her, but it didn't reach the girl's ears. She did absolutely nothing except stare at Battler with ice-cold eyes. Welcome back. Thank you, TJ. Welcome back to the stream. Well, it looks like someone hates me. I'm just annoyed that you aren't taking this fight seriously. Are you saying I'm not serious about this? Don't tell me that travesty earlier was you being serious. Don't take me for a fool. How long do you intend to play along with the witch's new farce like this? I'm fighting Beto in my own way. And doing it seriously, of course. Seriously? Don't make me laugh. You keep on drinking tea and chatting with a witch for all eternity, and you call that fighting seriously? Keep the jokes to just your hairdo, owned. Well, that's because I wasn't used to this witch's game in the beginning, and I've been through a lot of harsh stuff. Still, I'm finally starting to see how to fight, and I'm getting the knack of doing it. If the pathetic way I've been acting makes it look like I haven't been serious to you, you're just wrong. Is that so? Of course, I know I've got to close in a lot more before I can grab Beto by the collar. But no matter how long that distance may be, it's still finite. And each game that passes, I'm steadily closing that distance, step by step. No matter how long it takes, I'll close in on that witch, and I'll definitely checkmate her. It might take 1,000 years to use her phrase, but even so, I'll definitely win, sooner or later. Lord of Darkwood, hey, thank you for the follow. I just saw you 12 minutes ago. I appreciate that. Why? Because I definitely won't accept losing. I definitely won't stop moving forward, closing in on her. In other words, there's just one thing I can say for sure. I will definitely win against this witch someday. That's how it is. You really don't sound like you're in a hurry. Are you even trying to win? Even the finite can become endless if you treat it the wrong way. By now, you've become an Achilles who couldn't even outstrip a turtle. I get it. So this is why I'm needed. At this rate, there's no way you could win against the Endless Witch, even after 1 billion years. Who are you? It's not like you'll be struck by lightning if you just tell me your name. At that point, the girl fell silent, gazing straight into Battler's eyes. At first, Battler faltered under the firmness of that look, and his gaze wavered slightly. But then his eyes gradually began to be sucked into the pupils that were staring at him. Then, inside those eyes, he saw a light that he'd seen some time before. Battler was struck by how strongly they resembled the eyes of a girl who definitely couldn't be here. Even though that was completely impossible. I know it's stupid, but for some reason it feels true to me. But that can't be right. That person's supposed to still be 6 years old. You couldn't possibly be Angie, could you? If I were to say, that's right, would you believe me? I'll put it another way. If I said, I am your ally, so trust me, would you believe that? Umi! Yeah, we're rolling on Umi. We got 1,000 hours to go still. Would you unconditionally trust some unknown girl you're meeting for the first time just because she looks a little like someone you know? It's because you're such a softie that you got tricked so easily in the last game and cried so bitterly. You said it yourself. That kid is 6, right? Do I look like I'm 6? If I were to claim that I'm that kid, despite that, would you just swallow that story? Oh. When you say it like that, there's no way I can argue back. Sorry. That's right. I am a softie. And that should be made clear to me after the last game. Is that what you meant when you said I wasn't being serious? Yes. You may think you're fighting against a witch, but you're just getting along with her and playing. You're playing at fighting in a you're just playing at fighting in a friendly game of chess. That may be serious contest for you two, but looking at it from far away, I only see you playing around and following the rules like you're good friends. Hey, that's harsh. But as long as you're unable to win at this game, you won't be released from this place. That's why I came. I came to bring this game to its conclusion. You claim that you're closing in on the witch, but you're just like a hamster running around on a wheel. Oh, one of those? Those things that run around and around in place, night after night? At a glance, you might think that running around in a wheel is endless. The endless witch Beatrice. It's just like you. He thinks he's fighting, but he's actually just running around in a wheel while making a fool of himself. This isn't a game. There's nothing more than a cage to shut him up in for all eternity. Interesting. Let's take two pieces of information from this really quick. And let me save in case something crashes. Let's take two pieces of... Oh, there's a new hierarchy here, too. What? Hold on, there's like a lot of info here. And then... So check this out. Witch's certainty. Her goal is an eternal tie. Yeah, I think these two... See, I think these two are in kind of an endless game. Is this going to be on the final exam? I could never... The Voyager Witch across the Sea of Fragments to be far superior cannot leave them alone. Might be on even footing inside the territory of true magical fire. Far surpasses that of Beatrice. What is sought? Okay. The Endless Witch. She is known for being exceptionally cruel even among witches. She loves bullying the weak and is capable of using trial and error endlessly to find the cruelest fate they could possibly be given. And she toys with her victims by piling on one after another. The witch is extremely powerful, but word has it that she sometimes becomes obsessed with creating certain patterns, so her means ends up becoming her goal. The Endless Witch, who will live for 1,000 years in the future, or perhaps she's the Hunter of Witches, who will fell them all. Witches cannot be felled if they are not understood. Witches cannot be felled even if they are understood. To understand witches, yet deny them. Only this contradictory power gives her the blade with which to fell witches. And then this is an interesting one. Maria, a little magician who has inherited the black blood from Kinzo. Unlike Kinzo, she was gifted with talent and began to tread the path of the magician from a young age. However, her power is still weak, and she hasn't yet graduated from an apprentice's level. However, she is skilled with enchantments, which bestow magical power upon objects, and the magical items she creates are all master class. There's a lot going on here now. So, before even seeing that, by the way, two things. One, this may not actually be Angie, right? In a similar way to how Eva Beatrice kind of wasn't necessarily Eva. Beatrice isn't necessarily the Beatrice who was in the castle. This could be Angie Beatrice, parentheses, not Battler's half-sister, but just someone who looks like her. Now, she was in a scenario in the future where she inherited the fortune from Eva. You think that she's an Ushiromiya, but maybe not. Second thing, and it was with this line, there's nothing more than a cage to shut him up in for all eternity. If we are still going off the thought that Battler might be the one who's actually who is actually a witch even, who's actually powerful, if Battler's the one who actually holds that power, you would want some kind of system to keep him from going and using that power outside of that cage, right? Now, thirdly, now we read that description of Maria, and the magical items she creates are all top-notch. What items that we've seen through the course of Umineko are maybe magical items that have been created by Maria. Are the 7 stakes of purgatory, are they magical items that were created by Maria? Is the rose a magical item that's been created by Maria? The rose in the rose garden? Could be a lot of things. You like in my endless to something like a wheel that a mouse plays in. Interesting. Something that's endless in a certain dimension can be less than endless in a higher one. Based. The fact that a Menger sponge has infinite surface area only matters in a world less than 3 dimensions. In the 3-dimensional world of reality, it has 0 mass. Not only is it not endless, it doesn't even exist. Whoa, that's really neat, actually. What an assertive woman. It seems you are worthy of being called my enemy. Who are you? I am your ally, and an enemy of witches. Of course, you don't have to believe it. No one can prove that I really am your ally. On the contrary, it's more desirable that you keep your guard up strongly enough to find me very suspicious. That's right. Last time ended up pretty bad. I've got to be at least that careful. I don't plan on getting tricked twice. Beato laughed in a truly pleased way, which was humiliating only to Balor. People don't just get tricked out of the blue. That only happens when they fail to check things for themselves and leave it on other people. Saying that you thought the light had turned green just because you saw other people start crossing doesn't count as an excuse for getting into an accident. Get it? Yeah. I get it. You're telling me not to swallow misinformation given to me by others, but to think for myself. In the past, I swallowed all the magic Beato showed me. I stopped thinking, so I was useless. Balor grimaced as he remembered his many painful losses. The witch watched and laughed again, putting on a bold appearance. I'll offer you advice in a way that works to your advantage. Of course, you shouldn't swallow everything I say, because no one can provide certain proof that I am your ally. In the last game, Virgilia, who I thought was an ally, was actually on the witch's side. Balor couldn't rid his head of that eerie smile worn by Virgilia, a person he'd once even thought of as a trustworthy and reliable.
Happy year, Rysair.
Happy year! Frey, thank you for the resub. Shoutouts to you. 12 big months of support. Happy 1 year on the tournament staff. I appreciate the support. I hope you're doing well. Boop. So I don't need you to unconditionally trust me. You might as well take my advice as nothing more than an opinion to be considered. After all, the player who's fighting in a game against the witch is you. Okay, hear me out. Have we been screwing up? Have we been screwing up, y'all? Is there something we could have been doing as players to influence this game instead of just reading it like a visual novel? That's right. Saying I lost because I followed the moves of an outsider would be just too pathetic of an excuse. Oh yes, my opponent is Balor. You are nothing more than an outsider. You should bear that in mind. Nope. I'm not an outsider. With Beatrice and Ushiromiya Balor, and I who gaze down from above, it's almost like a fight in the shape of a triangle. At a glance, it might not look like a united front, but having a united front doesn't necessarily mean fighting together. Oh. What an odd thing to say. Just now, he described fighting with you as closing the distance. But you can't measure distance with a single eye. Only with 2 eyes are things visible in 3 dimensions, and only then can distance be judged. And even when you have 2 fields of vision, it's pointless if they're in the same place. You can pin down witches more accurately when they're far apart, shooting from different positions and different angles. So basically, it's crossfire. Heh. Interesting. We're shooting from different positions and different angles. So I won't get along with anybody. That's how I'll keep my own position separate and catch the witch in a pincer attack. Are you okay with this, Balor? This girl may actually be an ambush I set up, right? She might just be saying something plausible to gain your trust, right? Maybe. She's been saying that over and over again herself. So of course, I can't blindly accept her advice. But As to whether she's worthy of trust or not, I can think for myself and make that decision. As long as I don't stop thinking for myself, I won't be tricked by anyone ever again. What confidence! Are you, after you've said so much, it makes me want to trick you all over again. You see? I can't wait to see what kind of face you'll make when you realize you've been duped once more. How pleasant. It looks like you know my name, but I don't know yours. Tell me. For a while, the girl remained silent, without changing her expression even once. She's gonna be like, call me Beatrice. She looked as though she couldn't decide whether to say her name or not. Or possibly, as though she was deciding on the name she'd say on the spot. Gretel. Ghetto? You are? That's my name, dumbass. Call me Gretel. Then should I call myself Hansel? Heh, just kidding. I'm Battler. Call me Battler. Nice to meet you. I hate handshakes. Don't take it personally. She never takes her hands out of her pockets. Ah, really? Sorry. After all, it isn't certain that you're my ally. And you just told me to keep my guard up, too. Battler drew back his right hand, which he had stuck out. His bitter smile disappeared and was replaced with a strong resolve directed at this new, fourth game. Battler, think deeply about why you must win against this witch. You can't stop with something abstract like, I'll beat her because I don't like it. Have a deep conviction that you'll definitely defeat the witch and escape from this world. Because there's definitely someone waiting for you to come back. For that kid's sake as well. Maybe there was something she wanted to say. Gretel clutched her fists in front of her chest and hung her head in silence, at a loss for words for a short while. As though smashing through that silence, Beato spoke up in a forceful voice. Good. That should be enough of an introduction for Gretel or whatever. Come, try to remember what happened on October 4th. Let the curtain open on the fourth game. At the same time, as though it had been blown by a sudden gust of wind, the clock that had been turned back to October 4th started to move. Sorry, I'm yawny. What remained in the witch's tea room, the blue-gray sea and the green Rokkenjima spread out beneath us. We could see a boat heading there, like with its wake trailing behind it. The sky was already cloudy, and it seemed that the barrier of the typhoon would soon shut the island away. There he is. There was the boat docked in the harbor, and Goda helping to unload it. Then, once all of its passengers had disembarked, the boat began to separate from the shoreline. The relatives were gradually swallowed up by the island. Looks like you're as cheery as ever, Maria. Maria, you'll trip if you're not careful. Look out. The long-missed cousins I had loved dashed across the beach, getting swallowed by the forest path that led to the mansion and disappeared. And of course, Oni-chan could be seen among them too. Damn it. Stop it, Maria. You nimble little brat. Maria One-chan, whom I'd loved, started dashing and Oni-chan chased after her. They were swallowed up by the forest. Following them, father and mother were also swallowed up. The rest of the parents were swallowed up. They were swallowed up, leaving only me behind. Dumbass. How long are you gonna joke around and play with a witch in a place like this? Come back quickly, Oni-chan. Don't leave me all alone. And realize how cruel and lonely the world I'm isolated in is. Wow. Achievement unlocked. Welcome to Rokkenjima, the island you all know and love. Or do you? St. Lucia Academy after 1986. Angie's future. Good day. Good day. Good day to you is the standard greeting used here. No matter how many years pass by, the style of greeting still feels very awkward. Even though I'd responded to the greeting in order to stifle that awkward feeling, the classmate who had spoken looked at me blankly. Huh? What's that? It seems you're mistaken. Their choice of words and manner were certainly what you'd expect from a school for rich girls, but the actual meaning was as innocent as cruel as you'd expect from kids of that age. It seemed they found it funny that I'd mistakenly thought the greeting was directed at me. No, it might be the opposite. Maybe they didn't know how to react after being suddenly greeted by a gloomy, quiet kid like me. No. Judging by the cases of my classmates, who were looking this way over their shoulder and whispering to each other, it looked as though some of them considered this refreshing morning ruined. I was dark, because I was disliked. So, trying not to get in the way of everyone's refreshing morning anymore, I stooped lower and entered the classroom. Almost like I was cutting through the aisle in a movie theater while the movie was running. This is an all-dorm school, St. Lucia Academy. It is a school that anyone can get into by taking a test. The hidden rich girl school, known only of by a select group of celebrities from various fields. For lofty nobles who truly wish their daughters could be raised like saints, this is probably the ideal school in which to protect them from the impurities of the common world. But at the same time, it was probably also convenient for nobles who wanted to confine daughters they didn't want out in public. As well as an academy isolated from the impurities of the common world, it also held excellent potential as a prison school. This is not terribly dissimilar to what Kinzo had Beatrice locked up in, right? It was truly among the latter and was I was truly among the latter and was confined in St. Lucia Academy. Forced to live my life in dreariness. Of course, there weren't that many students like me, and you couldn't tell us apart at a glance. However, even if we never fessed up about it, you could usually figure out who we were by watching how we acted. After all, we were always hanging our heads, with an expression on our faces as though the whole world had abandoned us. Anyway, every class had one or two kids like that, so even if they didn't speak up about it, you could guess who they were. Therefore, even though I never confessed that I was one of those kids, at some point, everyone in my class just kind of knew about it. Just like how the seriousness of an injury becomes a sign of status in a hospital room, how noble a birth one has became a sign of status here. Those girls who couldn't be acknowledged in public were probably nothing more than filth to the others. They must have thought that getting involved with such students would dirty them as well. When a rumor sprang up about a particular student, those fastidious girls would grow cold and distant, chasing that student out of all social groups. Thanks to that, I led a quiet school life like this, all by myself. Well, that's only if hearing people whisper behind my back, finding my things lost or broken all the time, and having everyone pretend like they didn't know anything can be called a quiet school life. Even this early in the morning, I must look worn out. I can almost understand why my other classmates, who had a refreshing morning, looked at my face and wanted to click their tongues. Consciously trying to do as I should and avoid tainting my classmates' morning, I quietly took my seat. Then, unusually, someone came to talk to me. It was the class leader. Good day, Ushimiya-san. You seem to be in a bad mood this morning. Were you able to get enough sleep? Is there some business you have with me? You're the only one who has not submitted her questionnaire for the class presentation, Ushimiya. Did you forget the deadline was yesterday? I'm pretty sure I heard something about that last week. But I thought that the questionnaire hadn't been passed out yet. The details would be written there, so I shouldn't have had any need to remember them beforehand. I wasn't given a questionnaire. That can't be. I believe the dormitory leader handed them out to everyone. If you lost it, all you have to do is honestly say so. I lost it. I'll fill in right now, so could you give me a sheet? Again, either someone lost my sheet, or they intentionally didn't tell me about it. But I have no way of knowing who was behind that. In the end, treating it as though it was my own carelessness would settle everything more quickly. Aww. Once you filled it out, drop it in the questionnaire box in the student council room yourself. Our class is the only one that didn't get everyone's in by yesterday. As I hung my head in the class leader's scolding, I could hear the giggles and whispers of people watching, coming from no direction in particular. Ushimiya-san did it again. She's just so careless. She doesn't deserve to be in this school. She has no dignity and no manners either. Sorry, girls. I blake gum. Sorry, girls, but I've dealt with much worse when it comes to unfair personal attacks. And I froze my heart and let those arrows of ridicule pass by. I quickly filled out the questionnaire. When I learned that father and mother and Oni-chan and all the rest of my family had died, I was at the house of my grandpa on my mother's side. The only survivor of the accident was Ushiromiya Eva. Only Aunt Eva. Even at that time, I hadn't really liked her. At a glance, she would act kindly, but even as young as I was, I could see that she was somehow making fun of father and the rest, and I didn't like it. So when it was decided that Aunt Eva would take care of me, I was pretty miserable. Maybe it wouldn't have mattered if that gentle Uncle Hideyoshi and George had been with me, but I hated the thought of living all alone with Aunt Eva. I frankly said that to Grandpa, hoping to live together in his house. However, Aunt Eva had been very insistent that she should be the only one to look after me. She had no desire to remarry, so as her successor, I was essential if the Ushiromiya family was to continue. Aunt Eva felt very strongly about the family. She insisted that she take charge of me right away, so that she could give me an education and lifestyle fitting for a successor. After that, it seemed that confusing negotiations with lawyers took place, but in the end, I was forced to go live with Aunt Eva. After doing that, Aunt Eva told me something. You must bear all of the glory and history of the Ushiromiya family, and in order to make you a fitting successor to bear that, the rest of your life will be dedicated to frantic studying. Sacrifice the rest of your life for the Ushiromiya family. That's what she said. At first, I thought she meant that literally, but I quickly realized that wasn't the case. Because even now, in Aunt Eva's eyes, the one most fitting to succeed her was the late George. At our first meal together, I received strict instructions and questioning about table manners, and was forced to listen to her abuse Mom and Dad as though they'd been neglectful in their discipline. I also received the same strict instructions regarding manners at my first party. My clumsiness had been disparaged in front of everybody, forcing me to endure insults to Mom and Dad as well. After that, repeated over and over, I eventually began to understand. Aunt Eva didn't really want to make me her successor. She thought George was the only one truly suited to be her successor, and she couldn't forgive the fact that it was to be me instead. So she insulted me in front of lots of people. She humiliated me, and she made it known exactly how I was inferior to George to both acquaintances and strangers. Surely in place of a memorial service for her dead son, or rather, she must still be mourning his death. However, that wasn't something I could endure, and I couldn't possibly live together with Aunt Eva. I was kept like a pet, my life continually compared with her dead son's. I understood that even when I was still in elementary school. I tried to escape the Ushiromiya house and run off to the house of my grandpa on my mother's side. However, Aunt Eva had already foreseen that. Oop, am I frozen? Hold on. There we go. No, thinking back on it, she must have lured me into escaping. I was caught by the guards and brought back. And for being a coward who has smeared the Ushiromiya family crest with mud and tried to throw it away, in a way that makes my whole body shake and shiver just remembering it, I was punished. How should I describe what Aunt Eva was like when she punished me? In a frenzy? Gleeful? I saw the anger and sadness of losing her beloved son, as well as the hatred and pain from me stealing that inheritance from the son who should have received it. And the dark pleasure at being able to let those feelings out on me. I was hit with all those negative emotions at once. Then, all of my free time and freedom to act was stolen, and I was put under surveillance around the clock. I may have lived in a gorgeous mansion, dressed in expensive clothes, but my heart and my dignity had been trampled upon, and I was the Ushiromiya family's slave, its cattle. Compared to that lifestyle, the derisive laughter of my classmates here was calm and pleasant. It caused my heart no trouble. Poor Angie. After burying almost all of the fields of questionnaire with nothing in particular, I folded it and put it in my pocket. Because if I left it on my desk, it might disappear again. During lunch break, after dropping it off at the post box in the student council room, I finished lunch by myself, as usual, and headed behind the school building where no one could be seen. Only my time by myself could protect me from the derisive laughter and gossip. Since I was hated and didn't have a single friend, my time alone was the most kind to me. After checking the surrounding bushes to see whether some malicious classmates were hiding and threatening my time of quiet, I finally relaxed and tension from my entire body, knowing that I had gained some true peace. Then, I let out a sigh. It faltered, heavy, as though it was the first time I had breathed out today. My old favorite place behind the vegetable garden storehouse had been found by my classmates, and I'd been teased. So this was my new lunchtime hideaway. There was nowhere to sit behind the school building. As I crouched near the wall in the shadow of the bushes, I opened my bag and took out a book with an elaborate, old-fashioned binding. Just glancing at it, you'd probably think this was a religious book or something written in the Middle Ages. But this wasn't a book. It was a diary. Of course, it wasn't my diary. There weren't any special things worth writing about in my daily life. Every single day was just gray, cold, and dry. In this completely unchanging days, there aren't any changes worth writing down. This was the diary of Maria, a girl I'd been very close to. Oh, Maria's diary. They brought up Maria's diary in previous episodes. She'd been a bit strange and 3 years older than me, but One-chan was always a warm, wonderful cousin. She would always grab me by the hand and let me join in on some fun game. I remember that being able to see her was the most fun part of our family gatherings. When I opened the diary, the characters, which were made fairly skillfully considering this was an elementary schooler, were packed close together, even though they were written on every other line. Was she just hopelessly obsessed with jotting everything down in her diary? Probably not. To her, writing her daily life down in a diary was probably like having a conversation with another part of herself. Rather than object on which events of her day were written down, Maria's diary was written like a letter to another part of herself, telling of the events of that day. I found this diary among her belongings after her death and secretly took it home. At first, I'd felt that reading someone else's diary might be boorish, and satisfied myself with just keeping it by my side, but I couldn't help flipping through the pages and reading through it bit by bit. And by now, she had become my only friend. I gently opened to the page with the bookmark. Sorry to keep you waiting, Maria. Could you let me hear your story again? At the same time, a very soft breeze blew, tickling the paper. I thought the open diary might have sparkled faintly. The weather's good today. Maria loves the wonderful rays of sunlight, so I'm sure she's in a good mood. On the page of the open diary, no, in the world of the diary, Maria showed herself. I'm pretty sure she was 9 when she died, though her form was already younger than me. But I call her One-chan, so she affectionately calls me Angie. Oh, Angie, you were slow getting here today. Was it packed at lunch? Yeah, it's always packed. Groups of friends set up camp in the seats and they stay there even after they've finished eating. Pretty fatal if you get to the dining hall late. I was on cleanup duty today. Oh, I eat fast. The faster that you eat, the more you can play. Maybe she realized I was holding a grudge because that duty had been forced upon me and shortened my lunch break by a bit. Maria brightly changed the subject. Grateful for that act of kindness, I responded by saying I was a slow eater. Maria calmed me down, saying something about teaching me the trick to eating fast. Yeah, it's don't chew. I read about it in her diary. No, I heard it from her. She was ranked number 1 among the girls in the speed eating ranking for her grade's newspaper. She was apparently very proud of that, but a little disappointed that her mother, Rosa, hadn't praised her very much for it. Ugh. Then, let's start our story for today. How far did we get yesterday? This far. Until you got Sakutaro as a present, Maria. You promised that you'd tell me about Sakutaro. Let's talk about Sakutaro. You know, Sakutaro's a really cute stuffed animal. I'm sure you'd like him too, Angie. Yeah, tell me that story. The only time I can relax at school is when I'm listening to your stories during lunch break. Okay, I'll tell you about it. Sakutaro was really, when I looked at Maria, who was always in a good mood, it made my heart feel warm as well. As I listened to her tale, I began to get absorbed into her world. I feel like something dark's gonna happen.
Happy birthday, Maria.
Happy birthday, Maria. Sorry I got back so late. Oh, good job with your work, Mama. I know you're busy, so even though you're late, I waited without crying. I was good and waited, watching TV. Yes, you're such a good girl, Maria. As a present for waiting politely, you can order anything you want today. Of course, only as much as you can eat, okay? Yeah, today I can change my corn soup to onion gratin soup? Yes, that's fine. It's 200 yen more expensive. But can I change it to prosciutto pizza? Ooh, that sounds good. Yeah, that's fine. If you really can't eat it. But that's okay. It's your birthday after all. There must be a reward for a good girl who waited so patiently. Then, can I have enchilada cheesecake for dessert? And then the chef's choice fruit salad and kids' french fries? I want to drink melon soda too. I'm a good girl. Mama praised me. Ooh. You're getting a little too excited. If you don't quiet down a bit, you'll disturb the other customers. When Rosa gently admonished her, Maria stuck her tongue out and eased up a bit. But it seemed that she was having a hard time repressing her excitement at being able to eat out with her mother after such a long time. This is going to be a heartbreaking episode. I can already tell. Angie's like really alone at school. Maria's like really alone at home. This is going to be a sad episode. Today was Maria's birthday. Rosa always tried to let Maria spend her birthdays at great restaurants. When Maria had been in kindergarten, they sometimes invited other kids from the neighborhood over and had a party at home. Rosa would make a wonderful cake and snacks and decorate the house herself, making it a huge celebration. But when they moved and Maria no longer had friends in the neighborhood, Rosa had started splurging at expensive restaurants instead. However, today, they were in a normal family restaurant. It was also a little late in the day for a kid like Maria to eat there, even with a parent. Actually, she had gotten reservations at a fantastic place that would surely have pleased Maria. Of course, she had also prepared a wonderful cake with Maria's name written on it. But Rosa just hadn't been able to finish up her business and had been forced to cancel. Since that plan had been traded for a local family restaurant, Rosa felt a little indebted to Maria. So she was prepared to spoil Maria a bit and let her have whatever she wanted tonight. You never used to eat that much, did you, One-chan? Was it really alright to order that much? Oh, I can't eat very much, but I like to have a lot lined up. You know, like on a birthday table? If it's colored all over with red and blue and green and yellow, it makes you really happy. You're right. Having your birthday table be colorful can make you feel happy. Birthdays at my place were no match for yours, Maria. But the cakes were brought at the Fumiya store in front of the station were all... But the cakes we bought at the Fumiya store in front of the station were always gorgeous. Angie thought back to her own birthdays nostalgically. Even though Dad was busy, he sometimes came home just to show up at my birthday party, and then went right back to his company. At that time, I was sad, but I now understand how important I was to Dad. Of course, Mom also took very good care of me. In particular, her birthday presents were always in excellent taste, and she sometimes arranged for them several months in advance. Even though I always sent an invitation to Battler, he didn't get along with Dad or something, so he kept not coming. But when he did come, I was really happy. The birthday parties, when the whole 4-person family gathered, made for fun memories that I'll never forget. Oh, Angie's birthday sounds like a lot of fun too. Battler and Rudolph are really lively. Yeah. Battler got covered in cola. Maria One-chan peeked into my happy memory. As I sat quietly, wearing the origami helmet that Dad had made for fun, I was a little embarrassed. In my hand was a paper gun that Battler had folded for me, and Mom was making a commemorative photo. It was the happiest moment of my life. But your birthday's no worse, Maria. And this is the day you get him, right? Sakutaro. Oh, I was really looking forward to it. I got so excited, wondering when Mama would show me the wrapped present in the corner of her bag. Sakutaro is the name of a stuffed animal that Maria was to receive that day. For quite some time before then, Aunt Rose had been making a stuffed animal to give to Maria as a present today. Hearing that it was a cute lion stuffed animal, Maria One-chan had already given it the name Sakutaro, even though she hadn't received it yet. Today, she was looking forward to meeting Sakutaro even more than her own birthday. Aunt Rosa ran a clothing design company. It seemed to be some kind of brand name. What was it? Auntie Rosa? It seemed their catchphrase was, I can't forgive the... What? Hold on. This is a clothing company? It seemed to be some kind of brand name. What was it? Auntie Rosa. It seemed their catchphrase was, I can't forgive the me of yesterday. Unfortunately, I've never met someone who knew of that brand name. Maybe it wasn't that famous. So Aunt Rosa was pretty skilled with her hands. I heard that she made some of the clothing she wore herself. But making a stuffed animal had to be well within her capabilities. That's curious. It's Auntie Rosa. Is Rosa's business venture fighting witches? Does she fight witches? And/or is there an evil Rosa out there? That's the one that abuses Maria? I mean, the two Rosa theory could still hold. A handmade stuffed animal, that's pretty amazing. By the way, why did you call it Sakutaro? Oh, I actually wanted to call it Sakura, but it's a male lion, so she told me to give it a boy's name. So I added a boy like Taro and called him Sakutaro. Eventually the last U disappeared. Why Sakura? Ugh. That's the main character in Cardmaster Sakura. It was the name of the main character in a TV anime that was popular at that time. The fact that she'd simply borrowed the name of a character she liked was, how should I say it, as innocent and cute as you'd expect from someone that age. Oh, Mama. Still no Sakutaro? I want to let Sakutaro join in on my birthday too. Presents always come at the end, right? If you open it now, it'll get dirty. Hold on until the meal is over. Then I'll finish eating quickly. Ugh. As soon as she proclaimed that, she started tearing into her meal. Aunt Rosa got mad at her, saying that was rude. It seemed that she'd expected this would happen right away. I also thought that, given how straightforward Maria was, that was probably what she would do. So it was kind of pleasant when my expectations weren't betrayed. In the end, Aunt Rosa lost to her daughter's eyes, which were sparkling with anticipation, cleaned up the table, and took out a long-awaited wrapped present. Happy birthday, Maria. I wasn't able to spend much time on it, so I couldn't make it very well. If you made it, I'll be happy with anything. Sakutaro, Sakutaro. Aunt Rosa spoke a bit humbly, but Maria One-chan was happy even before opening the wrapping. I could really understand that feeling. It's not a problem of quality. Just the fact that it was a handmade present was more pleasing than anything. Can I open it? Yeah, can I open it? I wanted to wait until we got back home before doing it, but just for a bit, okay? We'll take a look and say hello, then put it back. You can give him a proper greeting once we get home. We're in public, so you can't fool around, okay? Can you promise? Ooh, promise. So can I open it? Yeah, just for a bit, okay? Yay! Before Aunt Rosa finished talking, Maria started unwrapping it. Look at it. This is really cute. As soon as she did, yellow and orange peeked out. What appeared was a slightly blank-looking lion stuffed animal with a cute round eyes and a white chest. It was about the size of a small pillow. It looked pretty big next to someone as short as Maria One-chan, but probably wasn't that large. From the perspective of someone who didn't know better, it would probably look like something cheap bought from a department store or something. But to Maria, it was her mother's handmade stuffed animal, the only one of its kind in the world, and irreplaceable. It's so cute! Thank you, Mama. Thank you, Mama. Thank you so much for making such a cute stuffed animal, even though you're so busy with work. If you praise me that much, it's actually embarrassing. I couldn't take much time, so I couldn't make anything that good. I actually wanted to make one so big that that you couldn't even wrap your arms around it. This is good. With this size, we can always be together. We can go out together. Sakataro, I'm your One-chan. It really is an adorable stuffed animal. So this kid is Sakataro, your best friend. Yeah. We can't go to school together, but me and my best friend are always together at home. You know, Sakataro is really innocent and cute and always nice to me. He supports me when I'm feeling down and plays a lot with me when I'm feeling good. So I'm never lonely anymore. Not lonely when Mama's busy with work and I'm all alone, not even when no one plays with me at school. Isn't that right, Sakataro? Aww. At school, Maria had lived in the same kind of environment as I did. Compared to the other kids in her class, Maria One-chan's tempo was always a little slow. Her sensibilities and ways of viewing things were a little peculiar and a little too idiosyncratic for her to blend in. Her grades were low as well, and since she was talkative about everything related to the occult, her specialty, she was treated like a weirdo by everyone else in class. If you were touched by Maria, you'd be cursed. Stuff like that. Apparently, everyone in her class acted like she was disgusting, made fun of her, and avoided her. If a boy bumped into Maria, he'd start rubbing the part against the other boys, as if he'd gotten some scum on him. They'd picked up her stuff like it was something filthy and chased the other boys around with it. It seems the girls thought even speaking to her was unpleasant, so they ignored her all the time, only giggling and sneering at her whenever she made a mistake. I'm gonna cry, dude. This is so sad. It looks like bullying is the same in all eras. Humans really don't advance at all, do they? If only they just got wiped out. If only they just get wiped out. I'm sad when I'm bullied, but I think it can't be helped. It can't be helped? Why? After all, there's a rule that says every class has to have a single bullied kid. That's a horrible rule. I'd like to find the person who made it and hit them over the head with a brick. Using the corner, of course. If I wasn't there, then there'd surely be a new bullied kid chosen in my place. But staying strong, I can protect that kid. That's so sad. As she said that, she smiled faintly. Maria's way of thinking really is unusual. According to her, from the beginning, a witch had resided in the place called school. No, she says that any place where a lot of people gather will have a witch residing there. The witch tries to steal the students' souls through death by disease or accidents. Apparently, she sometimes also corrupts those souls, leading them down the path of evil. She says that an angel came, not content to let that continue. And the angel tried to finish off that witch. The witch was powerful, and the fight took 7 days and 7 nights. But even then, it still wasn't over. The tired out witch asked for a truce and proposed this. I heard about that one before. Until now, I've made half of the students in the class become sick or injured. But in exchange, I've protected the remaining half of the students from sickness and injury. Therefore, if one member of the class becomes a sacrifice to me and is made into the bullied kid, I shall protect all of the other students from sickness and injury. Right? Ugh. The angel thought about it. Compared to half the class meeting with misfortune, having only one person be unfortunate would be much better. Then, the witch said that she'd protect the safety of all the other students using her powerful magic. If there are 40 students in a class, and the 20 victims were reduced to 1, then 19 people are saved. It's actually a reasonable proposal. I wonder if there's some theme behind this fairy tale. This is going to come up again, by the way. This motif is going to come up again, mark my words. Angie's going to sacrifice herself. Angie's going to sacrifice herself to save the whole 18 Ushiromiyas on Rokkenjima. I wonder if there's something behind this fairy tale. If it's a creation by Maria, a 9-year-old girl, that'd be pretty impressive. The angel decided to accept that proposal, so through that single sacrifice, 19 people were saved. That's why my role is important. The witch is protecting 19 people. Because we become sacrifices? Well, I don't remember ever being thanked by those 19 people. Maria's idea was too compassionate. Both of us are suffering from a very similar type of misfortune, and yet, maybe small differences in our way of thinking changes how peaceful our hearts are. So you aren't sad, Maria? Ugh, I'm not sad at all. After all, I'll be together with Sakataro from now on. Right? Sakataro? If I could be with Maria, I'll be happy too. Look, Sakataro says he's happy too. Ooh. Maria One-chan hugged the Sakataro stuffed animal, playing both sides of the conversation herself. I don't understand it, but that's exactly why I wanted to reach Maria One-chan's level. So I was intensely drawn to her tale and her words. Angie, is it tough because you're all alone? It is tough, but just the time I can be like this with you is different, because I'm not all alone. Then, if Sakataro also becomes your friend, it'll be even more fun. Then, starting today, Sakataro is Angie's new friend. Right, Sakataro? Incoming different voice. Incoming jump scare. Oh, Uryu? I am Angie's friend? Uryu, Angie. Skillfully moving the stuffed animal like it was a puppet, Maria One-chan expressed Sakataro's emotions. He was controlling him, but the charming way he waved his short hand and cocked his head to the side made it feel like he really was a new friend called Sakataro. Of course, looking at it with cold eyes, it would only appear that Maria was comforting me when I was grumpy. But a soul had definitely been sent into that stuffed animal. The soul of Maria's love. So I acknowledged the existence of a being called Sakataro inside that stuffed animal. Come on. Say hi to Sakataro, Angie. Come on. Say hi to Sakataro. Uryu? Is Angie a scary person? As Sakataro timidly looked at me, he unexpectedly met my gaze and hid behind Maria's back in surprise. Maria really is good at playing with stuffed animals. It's okay, Sakataro. Angie isn't scary. She's a really nice girl. Ooh. Oh, hello. I am Sakataro. Uryu. Pleased to meet you, Sakataro. I'm Angie. I'm glad to have a new friend. I held out my hand as though asking for a handshake, and Sakataro's short hand was stuck out towards me, lightly touching my index finger. After all, when a human and a stuffed animal shake hands, their sizes are too different. This greeting by touching each other's fingers was our handshake. Ooh, now Angie and Sakataro are already friends. 2 people are more fun than 1, and 3 people are more fun than 2. Uryu. Maria One-chan had given the name Sakataro to the stuffed animal she was to receive on her birthday, and had warmed and expanded his existence in her heart for a long, long time. Therefore, even before she met him, his existence was sublimated into a personality. Even at the first moment they met, they were already friends. Of course, that wasn't anything extraordinary in Maria's eyes. Although I didn't think she'd personified and loved anything quite as much as Sakataro, she loved the things she owned very much, treating them just like friends or beloved pets. Maybe Aunt Rosa hadn't let her keep a pet at some point in time, so she felt like treasuring objects instead. And maybe she was so isolated that she'd been forced to find a friend nearby. Because of all that, what happened that day wasn't anything extraordinary from her perspective. Even so, Sakataro... No. Maybe I should just call it Sakataro like Maria does. There's no doubt that Sakataro was a stuffed animal. No, a friend, whom she loved more than anything or anyone. Oh my god. Hi, Sakutaro. It's so cute. Hello, it's Mama. You're in a good mood. Is a friend over? Ooh, playing with Sakutaro. Sakutaro, knock it off. Who's... Oh. I have a bad feeling about this, everyone. I have a bad feeling about this. It was already about 9 at night. Rosa had asked because this wasn't a good time to have a friend over, and she'd just been a little bit surprised. But when she thought about it, Maria didn't have any friends who would come over to play, did she? Even so, to think that she'd have so much fun playing with that stuffed animal, Rosa was very pleased that Maria liked her birthday present so much. Sorry, Mama just can't get work finished tonight. The next season's lineup is having a tough time. Looks like we're finally starting to get orders bit by bit, and I want to somehow give it a bit more impact so we can answer their expectations. So you're spending the night? Okay. Do your best, Mama. Really? Thank you, Maria. Thank you for being understanding about Mama's work. Rosa was surprised that Maria had accepted so easily that she wouldn't be able to come home from work. For Rosa, having to tell Maria that she'd be coming home late or staying overnight was a huge burden. Maria would start crying about how lonely she was on the other end of the phone, and it took a lot of time and effort to calm her down. To think that Maria would accept in such high spirits. Is this also thanks to Sakutaro? Rosa was once again pleased that she'd given her daughter such a good present. First of all, maybe it's normal to leave your 9-year-old daughter at home by herself. Maybe. Let's assume that's... Well, if that's the case, this isn't too weird. If that's not the case, like I kind of think it is, leaving your 9-year-old kid at home all night, I have a feeling that Sakutaro is like somebody nefarious is using the identity of Sakutaro. Some human is speaking as Sakutaro, right? Like maybe he saw Maria playing with the doll and then started like talking as the doll and like, oh yeah, I'm actually Sakutaro. And then that, of course, leads to bad things. I'll make sure I come back this time tomorrow. Let's eat dinner together then. You haven't eaten dinner yet, have you, Maria? Buy a bento at the convenience store and eat it. No sweets and no soda. I'll check the receipt and the change. Understand? Ugh. Shopping with Sakutaro. Shopping with Sakutaro. Hey, not Sakutaro. Have him watch over the house. From Maria's manner of speech, Rosa got the feeling that Maria might have gone shopping with that stuffed animal without her knowing about it. Rosa's forehead creased, and after sourly saying that Maria definitely mustn't do that, she hung up. Something's weird here. Mama said I mustn't go shopping with Sakutaro. Ugh, can't go shopping with Maria. Staying home alone will be lonely. Why did Mama say not to go shopping with Sakutaro? Ugh. He's so cute. Uryu, I'm sure that if Maria was seen with me, it would be embarrassing. Embarrassing? Why? Mama says not to take me outside a lot. And she usually says that Maria can't do it because she's too old. Ah, it's the public image thing about the ooh and the... But I'm not embarrassed at all to be with Sakutaro, right? I'm a lion, but I'm also a stuffed animal. You're a lion and a stuffed animal, but you're also my friend. Let's go out together. Just when Mama isn't around. As a secret. You aren't saying that you're embarrassed, are you? I'm not embarrassed, but... Uryu, the people outside are a little scary. Is that it? Then I'll make it so that you can go outside without being scared. Leave it to me. I've got something that's really useful. Maria started fishing around her messy room. Gun. Rosa often told her to clean it up, but Maria apparently didn't like doing that. However, Maria herself knew more or less where everything was. She's just like me for real. So much so that if it were to be cleaned up, she would have trouble finding where anything was. Yeah, definitely me. Here it is. Look, Sakutaro. A knapsack. Maria proudly held it up high. Sakutaro looked at the knapsack, which was gaping open, squirming as though saying, "Are you serious?" Uryu. Maria, you're not saying... Ugh. This way you can go shopping together and Sakutaro won't be scared. Okay. Hypothesis. Hypothesis number 8,000. Maria's older than 9. I think Maria's way older than 9, maybe. She might be Jessica Battler and George's age. I know they've said that she's not. But, like, I think some, I mean, we've clearly discussed some maybe developmental issues with Maria. And, like, Rosa is adamant about her, like, not acting like a kid. She's got to be probably, like, 15 or something, right? Like, isn't she supposed to be 9? She's going to the convenience store to buy food for herself. And, like, her mom's just like, yeah, make sure nobody sees you with that weird stuffed animal. Because you're actually, like, 20. Like, what if she's actually older than Battler and them? At first, she tried to stick him in head first, but then he'd be upside down and suffocate. Though, she wouldn't really be in school, would she? So she pulled him out and tried pushing him in again, feet first. Uryu! Tight, cramped, dark. Uryu! Look, it's alright. If you stick your head out, it isn't cramped, it isn't dark, and it isn't scary. It's a good view. Uryu! You're right. Is it okay for me to go shopping with Maria like this? Yeah, it'll be fine. What should we get for dinner tonight? Come on, let's go, Sakutaro. Looks like you're having fun, Maria. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Even things that would be lonely and boring alone all become fun with Sakutaro. Okay. You know who Maria acts a lot like? Beatrice. Like the naive Beatrice that was imprisoned by Kinzo. And Rosa's the one that killed that Beatrice, supposedly. But Rosa and that Beatrice both act very childlike. And the Beatrice was, you know, supposed to be like 18 or whatever. I think Maria's a lot older than 9. I think Maria's a lot older than 9. Any human friend would have to go home when it gets late. But Sakutaro doesn't go home, so we can be together all the time. He'll watch TV with me, be together even in the futon, and even hold my hand on scary nights when there's thunder. He'll chase away the monsters in the closet and under the bed. Sakutaro is reliable. Uryu! Since I'm a lion, I'll show my courage and chase away any monsters that scare Maria. Uryu! Ah. They were so close it made me feel a little envious. I'm supposedly older now than Maria was then. But Maria really is my One-chan, and I still haven't reached her level. If only I had a friend close by like Sakutaro. Sakutaro and I are close friends, right? We're always by your side. It's just that your magic is weak, so you can't perceive us unless you open my diary like this, huh? Okay, let's get it. Yeah, let's ramp up the weirdness. Perceive? You know some pretty difficult words, Maria. According to her, this world is full of magic and spirits, and there is natural and nearby as a light breeze. You don't normally notice or see the wind, but when incense smoke or something draws trails, you can see it, right? Right. And even if you can't see it, it's always nearby. That's it. We're always really close by to you, Angie. Gods and spirits and guardian spirits are always right next to us. But if you aren't conscious of them, you can't feel their existence. Like wind that can't be seen with the eyes. But they certainly are near us, and if they draw trails of smoke called magic, anyone can see them. Thought I'd only be able to meet Maria while this diary was open. But from what she says, she'll always be with me. And I can meet her anytime if I truly desire. Along with the record of my life, I left a fragment of my own soul in my diary. So the power of my magic resides in this diary. But it's very faint, so only you can feel it. Only I can tell it's there? Yeah. After all, the power of a witch resides in you, just like me. If you study hard, you too will definitely become a great witch in the future. A witch? I wonder if that'd be fun. Ugh, it is fun. If you do that, you'll be able to know that Sakutaro and I are always by your side, even without opening the diary. If you do that, every day will become fun. If you do that, I'll introduce you to many other friends. You do that, every day will get busy and very lively. That might be fun. I do have the grimoire you left behind, Maria. I'll try reading it seriously sometime soon. If I do that, I won't be all alone anymore, right? Maria and Sakutaro said that at the same time, happy that I had developed an interest in the world of witches. What is happening? Uryu? With her knapsack in her back and half of Sakutaro's face peeking out of it, she triumphantly walked through the shopping district late at night. Well, it was that time of day after all. Everyone in the shopping district was either a shop owner lowering the shutters on their shops, or an employee rushing or else staggering on their way home. Amidst all that, Maria, who was in a good mood like someone on a hike, probably looked quite merry. Every once in a while, passing employees would glance at her back with the eyes of someone seeing something out of place. Office ladies giggled at the cute stuffed animal poking its head out of her knapsack. The supermarket had been closed for a while by this time. However, convenience stores, which had been growing in popularity lately, stayed open until midnight. It was very convenient for Maria, whose mother's return was often late. Maria lowered the knapsack from her back and carrying it like a child in her arms, she headed over to the sweet buns corner. She pointed at the sweet bun she had eaten before, explaining to Sakutaro that this one was delicious, and this one was pretty good too. Sakutaro seemed to be enjoying it a lot. I'm gonna have the 3-colored one. With just this one, you can eat bean jam and cream and strawberry jam. But there's sometimes greenish-brown bean jam or white bean jam. There should be one kind of bean jam. But it looks like having different things inside makes them interesting. Next, I'll have a fruit yogurt. There's fruit in it, but it isn't a sweet, right? Yeah, I'm sure Mama will be fine with that. Do you want one too, Sakutaro? Uryu? Is that okay? What about the money? Oh, no problem. Look, it's Shotoko Taishi. Ooh, so I can buy whatever you want too, Sakutaro. Let's eat together. Would you like some yogurt? When Maria made the grab another one of the same fruit yogurt, Sakutaro bent his head slightly, worried. Uryu, but I can't eat a big one, so a small one will be fine. Then how about a small yogurt? It's 30 yen. That's cheap. Uryu, that's good enough for me. Yogurt with Maria. Yogurt with Sakutaro. Maria put the 3-colored bread and the 2 yogurts into a shopping basket and brought them all to the register. The man running the register had been in charge of the tobacco shop that had been here until last year. We'd be seeing you a lot at this time of day, little lady. You're a good girl, but maybe you better come with your mother if you're going to go shopping at this time in the future, okay? Mama said it's okay, so it's fine. Mama always comes home late because of her work, but we aren't lonely. Right, Sakutaro? Uryu! Really? That sounds tough. Here, I'll give you some free soda. The man working at the store took a can of leftover soda or something from behind the register and packed it into the bag with everything else. Thank you, mister. Isn't that great, Sakutaro? Uryu. Since she had been told not to buy soda, she couldn't take it back home. She decided to drink it on her way back and not bring an empty can back home. With the vinyl bag and the sweet bun in it around her elbow, holding a knapsack with Sakutaro with that same arm and drinking her soda, the two of them walked home. Ugh. Uh-oh. Yusukoshu soda isn't really good. You want to try too, Sakutaro? Would you? Wow. You're mean, Maria. This is nasty. It sure is. Of course, it's not like she could actually make a stuffed animal drink soda. She just put the can to Sakutaro's mouth and pretended to tilt it. But it was fun for Maria to share the taste of this weird drink that she had gotten for free with Sakutaro. There was a huge moon in the sky. At times, that moon had been clouded by tears when she'd been unmanageable during Rose's overnight stays, and when she'd been scolded by her mother. But this moon was very warm, and it seemed to watch over the two of them, as they enjoyed their trip home by themselves. Maria and Sakutaro. Angie watched the two of them go from behind. He looked so warm from behind. After looking at the backs of Maria and Sakutaro together, it became very hard to remember all of those long nights when she'd cried because her mother hadn't come home. I couldn't say it to Maria, but if I'd been in the same position, I may not have given a stuffed animal the name Sakutaro. But it wouldn't have been anything more or less than a stuffed animal. Or I may have given it the name, but it wouldn't be anything more or less than a stuffed animal. Anyone can make a relationship that only distracts you from your loneliness. But Maria was different. Sakutaro isn't a stuffed animal or a toy. He was a real friend, and far from just distracting Maria from her loneliness. He changed the nights without her mother into a fun time where they could play all by themselves. Was it because Sakutaro was a special stuffed animal? Because her mother had made it herself? Because it was very, very cute? It is very cute. Probably not. If there's a secret here, it doesn't lie within Sakutaro. I think it probably lies within Maria. This is the power of magic you were talking about, Maria. Yeah. Knowing magic means that you notice a lot of friends right beside you that you didn't notice before. It's as fun as having a bunch of new toy shops pop up all over the neighborhood. If even I, locked up in an academy without a single friend, had powers like Maria, I wonder if I could make my days just a bit richer. I wonder if I'll be able to honestly shed tears on nights I feel like crying, to smile on gray nights. Yeah, you can. You can do it. After all, you also have what it takes to become a witch. What it takes to become a witch? I have what it takes to become a witch too. So I've got a lot more studying and training to do. I'll definitely become a wonderful witch, flying in the sky on a broom, drawing rainbows with my cane, making candy fall from the sky. I can definitely do it. Then, I'll show you too. It'll definitely be like a scene from a wonderful dream. Maria said that, making an absolute promise with her smile. There's no way I can become a witch. But if Maria says that, it makes me feel that maybe I really can become a witch. Because in reality, on that desolate night when no flower of a smile could possibly have bloomed, her magic surely gave birth to a smile. I wonder if I can become a witch. You can! You're a bit older, so your soul is still bound a bit more by gravity. That might make training tougher than it is for me. But you definitely can. After all, you're already touching a small piece of magic. I am? Magic? Yeah. Come on, look. In a world where I don't exist, you summoned me, and you're talking with me. Is this magic? Yeah. You've expanded the fragment of my soul that I left in that diary, and you're reviving me right now. I also said it a short while ago, right? Since you managed to reunite with me and have a conversation, since you're able to smile every once in a while, you must have some magical talent. Wow, just like Gundam. Your Maria One-chan guarantees it. Ooh. You said it a second ago, One-chan. I thought I could only meet you while the diary was open, but you're really nearby at all times? If I had more of the power of magic, would I be able to see you? And just like now, would I be able to talk with you, One-chan? Anytime? Yeah. We can talk at any time. I'm there by your side to say good morning and even during class. Let's talk together during dull classes to distract you from your boredom. I'll also be there to talk to you during meals. So let's always be together with this during lunch break. We're with you after school too. And of course, I'm always by your side, even after you return to the dormitory. It's just that you don't see me except when the diary is opened. Even when I close the diary, Maria, you'll be on my side, right? Yeah, I'll be there. So if you try to see me and try to talk to me, I'll definitely be able to answer. If you look strongly and try to talk, that is. I'll give it a try. It isn't easy, okay? It isn't going to go well all of a sudden, got it? I understand. I'm sure it won't go easy. But I want to be like you, Maria. Ooh, I understand. Then look at me well. Look closely. Okay. Slowly open and close your eyes. You can't shut them for a long time all of a sudden. After burning my form into your eyes, try to make it blend into the inside of your eyelids. Yeah, I'm doing it. Once you can visualize me even when your eyes are closed, without changing anything, slowly and softly close your eyes again. How is it? Can you still see me? Yeah, I think I probably can see you. Then try opening your eyes for a second. Now for the real thing. Calm your heart. Close the diary. At that time, my form may disappear for a second, but calm your heart and don't get anxious. And then, try to make the me that's blended into the inside of your eyelids blend back into your eyelids. Slowly, visualize me in the empty air. In the empty air, see me. Yeah, I'm okay. Then, I'll close the diary. Ooh. Slowly, I closed it. When I did so, a gray reality filled with dull air unfolded. Of course, Maria's form disappeared. Give it all you've got. Have courage. Take the first step into the world of witches. I feel like Maria was cheering me on inside my heart. She's cheering me on? Really? Or do I just think that she is? No. That's wrong. It's because I think this that I cannot see her. Maria's always by my side, and even now she's definitely there, cheering me on to do my best. That reached my ears. So I mustn't ignore it like it's my imagination or the voice of my own heart. I believe that Maria is there. I mustn't doubt. I believe. One-chan said she'd always be by my side. I must not doubt that. But looking at the empty space by the empty back wall of the school building, amidst those almost heartlessly boring rays of sunlight calling out her name was unexpectedly difficult. The chains of common sense that had clung to me until today sneered at me, telling me that calling out to the empty air was ridiculous. It was almost like being told to take a step forward off the roof of a skyscraper overlooking a sea of lights. It's Maria One-chan saying it. It's alright. She's saying that I'm someone who can do it. Stop thinking that you might fall, or that it'd be foolish to take a step off a roof. And free yourself from those chains of common sense. Free yourself from those chains of common sense. Okay. I steadied my breathing. I concentrated my mind. Make the vivid form of Maria in the empty space before you rise to the surface. Understand magic and see Maria. Whoa.
Maria.
Sophie, thank you for the raid. Hi, raiders. Welcome, welcome. My name is Rysair, a tournament organizer and VTuber. I largely play fighting games on this channel. Now let's go over here. Oops, I'm not here. There we go. I largely play fighting games on this channel. I hope you had a good stream, Salty. Thank you for the raid. For those of you joining, we are playing Umineko episode 4 right now. So we're quite deep into the story. If you're not familiar with it and don't want to get spoiled, you are more than free to take a trip away. Maybe drop a follow on the way out if you don't mind. If you do want to catch up on Umineko and you want to see what I've been doing in it, you can follow my YouTube and check out the VODs. There's 20 VODs of Umineko on there. But yeah, I appreciate the raid. I hope you had a good stream. And yeah, let's get back to Umineko. Huh? Is someone there? At that time, I was answered by a rustle in the bushes and a wild cry and came to my senses. It looked like I wasn't the only one behind the school building. No, since I'd been so immersed in the world of the diary, I hadn't noticed someone coming. Give me 1 second. Sorry, friends. Gotta respond to him. Yes, welcome in, Raiders. I recognized a group of the three beyond the bushes. They were kids from my class. From their appearance, it felt as though they'd come behind their school building to gossip about someone or talk in secret. I hurried out of that place. Because if it became known that I'd been alone in a place like this, mumbling to myself, I'd become a pain again. She said it, right? She said it. She said Maria One-chan or something, right? Isn't that creepy? She isn't seeing spirits or something, is she? Ushumiya sounds so funny. I could hear the shrill, loud laughter from behind. Irritated and feeling that Maria One-chan had been made fun of, I left that place at a quick pace, and a jog once I turned the corner. And I might have made it to One-chan's world with just a little more time. It was frustrating, aggravating. Why does everyone get in my way? I haven't gotten in anyone else's way, not even once. I ran and ran, but it still felt as though I could hear their shrill laughter. Chapter end. Okay, I'm going to take a short break at this chapter end. I'm going to put on some brain rot for y'all while I'm gone. We'll probably do one more chapter tonight. The world of 12 years later. I just want to be able to pause. Wide New York. Kohi. Who the hell is this guy? Let us save. And I will be right... He's so wide. I will be right back. Let me put on some brain rot for you. Wide vibe. If you know, you know. Okay. Whoops. We don't need that. Okay. I will be right back. Enjoy. Okay, I'm back. It was kind of crazy with the Umineko music, huh? You can check that out on your own. Okay. Even after throwing herself off the top of a skyscraper, she Oh, shoot. After all that mystical experience, she threw away everything and went on a journey by herself to learn her past. Can she break through Beatrice's magic from her position 12 years in the future? She actually jumped off the roof. Ava's dead after being repeatedly hospitalized because of psychogenic stress. She has already died in the world in 1998 due to acute heart failure. She lived her later years in isolation with no one to understand her, and she is the only survivor from Rokonjima. The media gave her the title Queen of Suspicion. You continue to make reckless expansions of your business like Kinzo had done in the past, which earned her many enemies. Did you forget that part? Well, I remembered that it happened, but for whatever reason, I thought she, like, I don't know, just disappeared from the real world, I guess. That sounds kind of crazy as I say it aloud because magic's not real, and yeah, if you jump off a building, you fall off said building, right? But later years, she was doing it merely to harass people as if she enjoyed it. It was all done for the sake of Angie, who would eventually succeed her. Who's over here? These dudes. Okay. Alright, rumor has it, Angie, that you jumped off the top of a sky. Naruhodo. The groupies were getting annoying, so I thought I'd give them the slip. Angie and an old gentleman wearing an expensive suit were alone in a massive, modern conference room. All of the newest machines for presentations were installed there, but they didn't upset its refined and composed atmosphere. And that alone was enough to make the business-like theme of the room abundantly clear. However, that didn't matter at all to Angie. She carelessly sat in the high-class chair that executives making a salary of several 10 million yen probably sat in, looking aloof from the world. It's because I knew they were remodeling on a lower floor and had a safety net out. Angie talked about it like it was no big deal, but in reality, it had been a miracle among miracles. To think that she'd shot through several layers of safety netting for the remodeling project, been caught in a multicolored banner adorning the atrium and slipped off, only to be softly caught by a final banner, landing on the ground without a scratch, and then briskly leave that place. Put Hong Kong movies to shame. Whether you knew there was a net or not, there's a 200-meter tall super skyscraper we're talking about, right? If things hadn't gone as you planned, there'd be a mess to deal with now. I figured that if I died, then I'd be dead, and that would be that, more or less. Well, still, I was testing my luck a bit. Call it youthful zeal. As though saying she'd have done enough on that topic, Angie shrugged coldly. Seeing that, the old gentleman, who was looking at the world below through a crack in the blinds, cackled. So, you were testing your luck, is it? My, you truly are Kinzo's grandchild. The nerve to trust your life to chance. The chairman was also a woman who could stake her life on a bet like it was nothing. So maybe this really is the Ushiromiya blood at work. You really will make it big in the future. Please, let me be blunt. Why not give up this running away from home act and return to the Sumadera family? I heard that Mom had a bad relationship with her family. I don't want to go to the house of people I first met at a funeral. The Sumaderas are Mom's family. They're on an old family from Kyoto, and it's compared to Mom's frank attitude, unbelievably strict. The only Sumadera I've been on good terms with was Grandpa, who was living apart from his family under the guise of retirement. Mom kept in touch with him too, but she avoided the rest of the family completely, almost hostilely so. So when I went out to play with the Sumadera family, it was always Grandpa's house I visited. When I was young, I didn't really understand it. But I hear that Grandpa was in an extremely weak position, as a man who'd moved into his wife's family register, and his relationship with Grandma was also bad. You might even say that Grandma hated him and confined him to the house. It isn't hard to imagine that, because she had a soft spot for Grandpa alone. Mom was also hated by the Sumaderas. Since I was her daughter, they probably hated me quite a bit too. And yet, they appeared for the first time at Mom's funeral, shamelessly going on about how big I'd gotten, like they could actually act like a family after all this time. When Aunt Ava died, I would inherit all the wealth of the Ushiromiya family. If that wasn't what they were after, there's no way they would have been able to say such disgusting words. Well, it's not as though I can't understand your desire for self-abandonment, now that you're all alone. This isn't self-abandonment. I'm just taking a carefree stroll now that annoying Aunt Ava has finally kicked the bucket. Everyone else is just making too big a deal out of it. Of course, everyone's after that vast Ushiromiya wealth I bear. They must think that becoming my guardian means they'll be able to do as they please with that wealth. Just how many people have tried to get close to me, acting like they want to be a substitute parent. If you ever find that you're hurting, please, talk with me if it will help, okay? After all, I think of you as my own grandchild, Angie. Ugh. I'll say, no thank you for now. More importantly, let's return to what we were talking about. Angie, no matter how many times you ask, I am hiding nothing. The chairman was the only survivor on Rokujima that day, and she passed away without saying anything. I myself know nothing. Everything is wrapped in darkness, you see. This old gentleman was one of those leaders who had been entrusted with the business group Eva had built up after she passed away. The one he called chairman was the former chairman, Ushiromiya Eva. His company once had friendly ties with Hideyoshi's business, and he'd even had a close relationship with both Hideyoshi and Eva. For that reason, when Eva lost Hideyoshi, he became the only person to whom Eva might have let her true intentions slip. Whenever Eva's heart was torn by the loss of her family, whenever she took it out on Angie, he had acted as a buffer between the two. So although Angie didn't trust him, she found him a very easy person to question. That accident. If I call it a crime, I'll get in trouble. I had the same questions about it as the public and the talk shows. At the time of the accident, why was Aunt Eva in a place 2 kilometers away from the mansion, all alone, and on the night of a storm? Back then, Kinzo was unsure as to whom he should select to be his successor. Officially, he decided on his son Kraus, but he didn't have much trust in that man. So, to fairly determine a successor from among the 4 siblings, he made this game-like test called the Riddle of the Epitaph. Ostensibly, yes. Kinzo probably planned to make Eva the successor from the beginning. He wanted to withdraw his own rule that the eldest son be the successor, and instead of Kraus, leave the family to the extremely diligent and brilliant Eva. The new rule about giving the inheritance to the one who solved the epitaph was probably nothing more than a farce to snatch the position of successor away from Kraus. What do you mean by farce? There was no need for anyone to solve that epitaph. Once it had been displayed for an appropriate amount of time, Kinzo could just call Eva, whom he truly wanted to succeed him, and give her the answer. In other words, that itself would provide proof of her succession to the headship. This isn't something they brought up on talk shows, is it? Well, once you bring up succession of the headship, conspiracy theories tend to rise to the surface. I'm no fool. I won't go out of my way to say things that couldn't invite misunderstandings, you see. This was his theory. At that time, the Ushiromiya family head, Kinzo, whose remaining life was announced to be short, was troubled by the problem of whom to succeed him. Normally, the successor would be fixed as the oldest son, Kraus, whom Kinzo had chosen himself. But in his later years, Kinzo began to think that Eva would make a more fitting family head. However, Kinzo, who was stubborn even against himself, was stymied by the idea of a successor that he'd already given to Kraus. And he'd searched for an official stance by which he could skip over Kraus and select Eva as his successor. That official stance was the Riddle of the Epitaph. The primary successor was still Kraus. But there was a new rule saying that if someone appeared who could solve the riddle, they would be chosen as the successor to the headship. Then, on what would probably be his final family conference, Kinzo told Eva the answer to that riddle himself. In short, it was the same as proclaiming that Eva herself was the successor. On that day, Eva was summoned by Kinzo, who revealed the answer to her. And so, that she could succeed the headship, he called Eva to the hidden mansion, Kuadorian, which only the head knew about. And because Aunt Eva arrived at the hidden mansion one step ahead, she escaped harm in that accident, you say? Maybe Aunt Eva just killed everyone and made it look like an accident, so she could steal all the wealth for herself. And maybe that's why only she escaped unharmed. Well, that's what the papers are shouting about. However, I believe Eva. I'll say there are several points that justify trusting her. For example, that ring of the Ushiromiya family head, which is on your finger now, Angie, that ring was the only one of its kind in the world, which Kinzo had made special. And the artisan who made it acknowledges that the object on your finger is, without a doubt, that ring. The Ushiromiya family head's ring. That ring, with the heft of gold and one winged eagle seal on it, had a diamond arrangement on a pedestal, and felt both sturdy and reminiscent of the dark hobbies of the rich. Kinzo had worn that on his finger without removing it, even for a moment. This man was saying the fact that Eva had it proved that Kinzo had acknowledged her as the successor. After all, Eva certainly did have that ring. Oh, 1 second, sorry. They're asking me about judging the store championship on Sunday, and I want to make sure I can do that. But I have to pass the judge test tomorrow, and I'm letting them know that I have to take the judge test tomorrow. After all, Eva certainly didn't have that ring, and if you take into consideration that Eva actually was talented and that Krause had made a fool of himself several times on the business scene, I cannot imagine that Eva's story is completely made up. Although there's a possibility that she murdered grandfather in order to steal that ring, then Aunt Eva, using some kind of trick, massacred everyone and made it look like an accident. Ah, yes. It seems the paper were saying something about her massacring everyone, with keeping all the wealth to herself as a goal. True. Eva was a person capable of holding back nothing when she was determined to accomplish something. Or, she may have committed murder just once in her life, if a chance for keeping all the Ushirimiya family wealth for herself presented itself. However, I don't think that happened. So, what's the second point that justifies your trust in her? Eva's family, Hideyoshi and George. It might be difficult for you to believe all of a sudden, Angie, but Eva was a person who treasured family greatly. True, part of me didn't want to believe it or acknowledge it, but I did understand, vaguely. Aunt Eva certainly had been a person who highly treasured her family. After all, the root of her twisted personality had been nothing more than the sadness of losing her beloved husband and son. After getting hit with her angry outburst as she tried to distract herself from that pain, I have no feelings of sympathy at all. But it's not like I can't imagine how the incredible shock of losing her whole family must have changed her character. You're saying there's no way Aunt Eva, who loved her family, could throw away her husband and her son? That's right. Even if Eva really was the culprit and massacred the entire family, making it look like an accident, she most certainly would have spared her husband and her son. She would have quibbled that, by coincidence, only her family had been in the hidden mansion. If Hideyoshi and George had been safe, even I would probably suspect Eva. I truly cannot imagine that Eva's wailing at Hideyoshi's funeral was an act. Sounds like both points so far are just circumstantial evidence. This isn't the same as physically proving on Eva's innocence. If you say that, then you're stuck right away. Eva-san was the only survivor, and she says that this is the truth. But no one can prove her innocence. Yeah, that's right. And no one can prove that she committed the crime either. And the final point that justifies trusting her is the police. After all, it was such a flashy crime. The police were being pushed forward by a public in an uproar over conspiracy theories, so they must have investigated Eva thoroughly. It was easy to feel something unnatural about the claim that Eva had avoided the accident by coincidence, because she alone had escaped to the hidden mansion. Furthermore, at the time, Hideyoshi's company had been right in the middle of a takeover struggle, and in order to buy off the big stockholders, she'd wanted a large sum of cash. It shouldn't be too hard to find a motive there. But as a matter of fact, there had been nothing at all that implicated Eva as she went to the family conference. Nothing unnatural was found on her that could have been used to brutally murder her family and make it look like an accident. The servants who escaped harm by being off-duty on that day also stated that they hadn't seen anything strange regarding anyone related to the event, Eva included. Pulling all that together, it could only be concluded that Ushirimiya Eva had headed to Rokkenjima for a normal family conference without any change, and had encountered an accident. The police even looked so intensely, and they still couldn't find evidence that it was a crime. They reached that conclusion themselves. Doesn't this resolve the Rokkenjima's suspicion? That just means that the police couldn't find evidence that it was a crime, right? Well, there's nothing I can say to counter that. It becomes a devil's proof. To expose it as her crime, you would simply need to find evidence. But what could you possibly find to prove her innocence? It's impossible to prove a negative fact. Did Aunt Eva commit a crime, or did she not? Because we can't find any materials that'll let us say for sure, the truth will remain a mystery. That's what you're saying, right? That's it? Phrased in a manner you would prefer, that's what it amounts to. It was impossible even for Eva to prove her own innocence. On that island, an unfortunate accident occurred, and Eva survived by chance. And we don't know any more than that. In short, it all comes down to whether you believe the story of the only survivor, Eva, or not. I believed. The ring and her praiseworthy love for her family. The tears she shed at that funeral. Taking all of that into consideration, I decided to believe her story. But I don't believe. If she wanted to steal that ring, there was probably many ways for her to do it. And no one knows her relationship with her family really was that good. No one can prove that tears at a funeral are real. Anyway, I hated Eva from the very beginning, so I don't even want to believe her. How does one view the truth of the crime? You and I are on completely opposite sides. Even though the information we are given is exactly the same, we interpret it in completely different ways. This happens often in politics and business. The exact same enterprise will always be assessed in multiple differing ways. Do you know why? Why? It's a question of whether one has love. Whether you feel love for someone or not completely changes how you view them. If a person you like gives you the poor, you respect them for it. If a person you like gives to the poor, you respect them for it, right? But if someone you hate starts donating, you fiercely protest that it's a publicity stunt or that they're handing out favors. No matter what they do or don't do, you thank them if you have love and criticize them if you don't. That's how the world works. So true. Can Aunt Eva be trusted or can't she? You're saying that's all that really matters? Those who suspect her will probably take anything she does or doesn't do and truly see it as something unnatural. And it works in reverse. As for me, I think that, barring a certain extreme cases, truth might not exist in this world at all. No. Even if truth does exist, whether you believe it or not is determined by whether you have love or not. Can you really call truth without certainty truth? Even if Eva had been able to show physical proof that she had an alibi, would you have been able to believe it? It's hard to counter that. I hate Aunt Eva, so I'll probably deny any information that's beneficial to her, and interpret any neutral information negatively. In other words, the truth is already decided inside of me. So just what in the world is that truth that I'm still searching for, unsatisfied? That's how it is. So no matter what... Excuse me. So no matter what you hear from me, since you still suspect Ava after all this time, nothing will change. At the very least, even if you were to grasp a piece of hitherto unknown information, I don't think you'd be able to reach the truth the way you are now. So I can't reach the truth? After all, no matter what kind of new information or proof you find, Angie, it won't change your stance that Ava is the culprit, right? So it's pointless to investigate anything more, because the truth inside of you is already decided. However, if you stop assuming that that to be the truth, if you wish to struggle further towards the deeper, real truth, there is a single way. I believe I already mentioned it, but do you know what it is? Is it love? I don't really know what you mean. Right now, you're considering this under the assumption that Ava is the culprit. But that's no different than looking at something with a single eye. With one eye, no matter how much you squint, you cannot see an object in 3 dimensions, right? That's why we have another eye. And of course, it's in a different position from the first eye. You're telling me to look at things based on the supposition that Aunt Ava is not the culprit? Or else that it really was an accident? Yes, that's correct. When thinking about anything, you should always try to look at it from different perspectives. If you don't, you won't understand anything about what is real. It's the same with the newspapers. You can't see anything from a single viewpoint of a writer who wrote an article in a single newspaper. Sometimes you can only process information compositely and in 3 dimensions when you read multiple newspapers. That is good fighting game advice as well. Without love, the truth cannot be seen. Yeah, you gotta look at things from different perspectives, or I think a good way to say that is like, just assume your opponent's intention is not... Like, don't always assume your opponent has the worst intentions in mind, or don't assume your opponent always has the best intentions in mind. Take what your opponent's action is and look at it with multiple assumptions and make a conclusion based off of that. Without love, the truth cannot be seen. Sounds nice. Maybe he thought it interesting that such a flashy phrase would pop out of his mouth. For a while, he laughed, looking pleased. At the same time, he was telling me that he'd said everything he knew, and that it was about time to leave. I understood that and got to my feet. I do understand your feelings, Angie. You should do as you like for a while, until you're satisfied. You were 6 years old at the time. I understand how you must feel after losing your family before you could even understand what that meant, and how you must be unable to sort out your heart. You may learn the truth, and you may not. Eva-san may be the culprit, and she may be a victim. I pray that you find the truth you believe in, Angie. A journey at such a young age may prove to be a valuable experience. Thank you. I'm truly sorry to be such a bother when you're so busy, Okonogi-san. Okunoge Tetsuro, leading member of the Ushiromiya group. Between the time of Eva's death and Anji succeeding her position, management of the group has fallen to core members like him in her stead. However, Anji has no desire to inherit that role, leaving the group on the brink of fracturing internally and putting Okunogi in a difficult position. He was once the president of a foodstuffs distribution company and had an intimate relationship with Hideyoshi's business. Because of the long-lasting association, Eva trusted him particularly, and he was appointed an important post within the group. Sorry, I'm yawning so much. I'm just gonna get to the end of this chapter. I got to bed really late last night. No trouble, no trouble. What are you gonna do now? Well, whatever works. I've made appointments with several specialists and people related to the crime, and I plan to go visit them. I see. I hope you find an answer you can accept. At that time, company president Okunogi's secretary came in, handing him a memo over his shoulder. He read it, then looked between it and my face. Angie, my apologies that this comes right after telling you to try going on a journey, but I have some information you should lend an ear to. It looks like you're in a bit of a nasty fix right now. People are after my money? That's why money's stupid. Yes, but if you sell off all of the wealth, trying to donate the whole sum to the public welfare, you'll make the eyes pop out of those people optimistic about their chances with your fortune. Oh, the Sumadera family. Those guys act so proud, like they're my guards or something. I haven't forgotten Aunt Eva. There's no way I'll pull myself to the care of the Sumadera family. They probably want to, as Aunt Eva often threatened in the past. Cut off my arms and legs, throw me in a warehouse, and suck the Ushiromiya family's wealth dry. Apparently a messenger from their family is coming here. They're saying to hand you over. No, that they want to protect you. A messenger, you say? It's your aunt, Kiri's youngest sister. I believe she told me earlier that she thinks of you as a little sister. She's gotta be joking. At least call me a granddaughter, you old hag. Judging from the context, it seems they have no wish to listen to your desires. I have a car waiting in the parking lot, 2 stories underground. Go. The Sumadera family is telling you to hand me over. Is it really okay to let me go? You will definitely become something big in the future, Angie. Let us call this a favor to be repaid upon your success. Go, quickly. I don't know, is he betraying her? After bowing silently and deeply, Angie left that place at a dash. After watching her leave, the female secretary straightened her glasses and whispered. The Sumadera family told us to stall her. Is it really alright to let her go? We did stall her. More than enough. If they still don't make it in time, that's their own fault. I told Angie to run for it. I informed the Sumaderas that Angie would be coming. Whether she's caught or not, I will not be blamed. Everything in this world is love, you see. Don't worry. She'll escape. After all, that child capable of leaping off a building to shake pursuers. Okunogi looked down again through a crack in the blinds, muttering, nope, definitely couldn't do it. Angie wasn't a fool herself. She got to the elevator, but on the 3rd floor, a taxi on the 2nd level of a basement? That's so neat and clean that I don't like it. It's probably better to refuse for now. But my enemies aren't fools either. They're probably waiting in the 1st floor lobby, as well as the underground parking lot. It's such a massive building. Instead of getting anxious and escaping outside, maybe it's better to stay inside and wait it out. No, that's useless. If they get their hands on a security room in any modern building like this, I'll have nowhere to run to. The entire building is like a massive dead end. The third floor is the business floor. A young girl like me will clearly stick out. Trying not to stand out any more than I had to, I walked at a brisk pace, searching for an emergency exit. It'd be perfect if the staircase was an outside one. I found the door to the emergency exit. After opening the heavy door, I found the outside staircase I'd hoped for. I bumped into a man who looked like an employee skipping work and smoking a cigarette. After glaring at me, he quickly crushed out his cigarette and went away. It looked like there was no one below. If I'm gonna escape, now's my only chance. Just when I thought that, a black car slid right under me and came to a sudden stop with an incredible squealing of the tires. Judging by the sound of the tires, it seemed they have several other allies, and that one of them had come here to block its path. Not bad, Aunt Kasumi. To think you'd even send a car to pick up your little sister when she's trying to get out through the emergency exit. Bam, bam. The doors of the car were forcefully opened and 3 black-suited men jumped out, looking up at the emergency staircase. Crap. Our eyes met. 12th, target found. Northwest side emergency stairs, 3rd floor. Send support. Angie, try not to move. Forgive our roughness. The 3 of them began to clamber up the emergency exit. They've already announced that they plan to be rough. This is pretty bad. As long as I don't stop breathing, they've probably been ordered to grab me no matter what, even if they gotta rip out one of my arms. Clank, 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 clank. Their heavy, wild footsteps became a helix and began to rise from the lower floors, getting closer. In the entrance lobby of the building, a woman with 7 black-suited guards behind her advanced at a leisurely pace. Seeing this ostentatious entrance, the security guards for the building ran up to them, asking if they had an appointment. How typical of Tokyo people. Don't you understand the status of the person you were talking to without her having to say her name? He looks like bad news. My apologies. At our company, guests are to take a secure... Back down, scum. I came because I was called by your president. Call Okanoge here. To think he would call me here and then not welcome me. How typical of Tokyo people. My apologies. Welcome to the Shiromiya group. Sumadera Kasumi-san. Daughter of the declining noble family Sumadera, Ushimura Kairi's younger sister. He despises her sister, and by extension Angie as well. She's the opposite of freewheeling person Kairi once was and holds appearance in high regard, possessing a strong ambition for philanthropy. However, this is all just craving for the limelight caused by the complex she has toward her sister. There are several opposing factions in Sumadera family, and they've all constantly engaged in a secret feud over who will control the vast wealth that Angie holds. So we're going to get a lot of this outside of Rokkenjima story. With his security behind him, Okanoge dashingly appeared from the elevator. Even though both of them wore bold smiles, they were wrapped in a tension reminiscent of the smell of gunpowder. Where's Angie? I came to greet that adorable daughter of my big sister. Strict observance of the time is our motto here at the Yoshimiya Group. Former chairman herself said that those who can't keep the time can't keep contracts. You call me all the way to Tokyo, and this is all you have to show for it? You let her go, didn't you? Please, she escaped from us. We did stall her for quite some time, but unsurprisingly, she did eventually smell a rat. Of course, this wouldn't have been a problem at all if you had arrived on time, Sumadera-san. All those provincials and their loose concept of time. What was that? What did you say to me? You could sense any kind of Kairi's open frankness in Kasumi's face. She wore an arrogance of the ancient Sumadera family towards the ruined Ujiromiya family, as well as pride, because she didn't want anyone to notice that her family was declining so much that they couldn't ignore the Ujiromiya family's wealth. Even at a glance, it was easy to understand why Angie hated her aunt so deeply. She couldn't stand even a slight insult, and though she still smiled, her eyebrow twitched. At that time, the black-suited man behind Kasumi whispered to her, Angie's been found. We are currently dealing with her. Oh, I'm glad we made it in time. Thank you, Okanoge. It seems I can finally take my mischievous niece home. I've waited so long to talk with that girl in my tea room, with all of the tools prepared. Bunka? Clank, 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 clank. As the violent sound grew to a helix, it rushed up at me from below, threatening to swallow me up. Of course, even if I fight, there's no way I'll be able to win. And yet, running into the building would be like jumping into a dead end of my own accord. My enemies will increase in number with time. If I don't do something here and now, I won't have any more chances to escape. Then, 3 muscular black-suited men came into view below me. 1, 2, 3. 3 people. In other words, everyone who had gotten out of the car. If there had been just one of them, I might have been able to drop-kick them or something and smash them in the head, which might work out, but it really would be impossible with 3 of them. Wait, 3? If there's just 3, I should be able to make it. I can do it. Take a deep breath. Huh? Whoa. What? You idiot. Stop. Look out. 01 calling 12. It's the package, Shakir. We received a response. What's happening? Respond. She's crazy. See, that worked out perfectly, didn't it? There was just 3 of them after all. I've already tried that once from a higher place. I knew I'd be able to jump down just 3 floors. Oh, she was counting the floors. It's a good thing the car they came in was right beneath me. Even if it wasn't as pleasant as a trampoline, it broke my fall, a little gently, a little roughly. How rude. You didn't have to dent that much. The roof of the car broke my fall, leaving a massive dent around my body. Car roofs are surprisingly delicate. I don't think it's because of my weight. Apparently, the 3 people on the stairs hadn't planned on me jumping down. It seemed they now realized that they'd been outwitted, and they were rushing down the stairs. I gotta run and escape while I still had the chance. I moved my body, making clunking sounds on the car roof. But I'd been naive. Of course they wouldn't all rush up the stairs without leaving one person behind. There was one black-suited man left in the driver's seat of the car that had broken my fall. He stuck his head out the window, and when he realized what had fallen on him, he jumped out. In a rush, I jumped off of the roof, but the black-suited man's reaction was really fast. Either there was a massive reward for capturing me, or there had been some harsh punishment in store if they let me get away. 15. Secured. Don't touch me like that. Let go. I was mercilessly held down against the asphalt. I was being crushed face down, covered and pressed upon from above. It was a hold without a trace of elegance, but it was extremely practical and left no room for resistance. I tried to push it back with both hands, searching for a way to resist, but I was being pushed down solidly, and I couldn't even tear myself off the asphalt. Then another car came, squealing its tires as it slid to a sudden stop. Is it all over now? The man that had been crushing me let out a sharp cry. He was yelling straight into my ear, making my left ear ring. What in the world? Along with the black-suited guy, I fell with a thunk. After landing face up, the first thing I saw was an arm sticking out right in front of my eyes. Amakusa, what are you doing here? Oh wow, there's a lot of new characters. Let's talk about that after we've lost them. He's cool. To the car, quickly, lady. Amakusa grabbed my arm, easily pulled me up, spinning me around with himself at the center of gravity. Just when I thought it was a little like a dance, he flung me through the open door into the driver's seat. I climbed over the handbrake and slid into the passenger seat. Pushing me in, Amakusa also got into the driver's seat. Since we had suddenly accelerated while I was still on all fours, I had to kick and struggle around in the chair for a while, like a turtle that's been flipped over. Amakusa checked with the rearview mirror for cars in pursuit, but flew to the artery of the big city without lowering the speed in the slightest. We sewed our way between cars one after the other, just like a chase scene in some action movie. I was shaken by this horrible driving and had trouble sitting back down. Are you hurt, lady? I'm fine. Humans are surprisingly durable. I try to escape a downward moving elevator. I'll jump out a window instead. Next time. I guess air dives are a hobby of yours, lady. Still, I'd recommend you grab a parachute next time. Sure. I'll remember to do that after leaping. Cool. He smacked the steering wheel, guffawing. Need an explanation for this flippantly talking man? His name is Amakusa Juzup. He was originally one of Aunt Ava's guards. Didn't she start to hate him because he chatted too much? Okay, so it's the company and the family. Juza, a former guard of Ava's, he's fundamentally a thrill seeker, willing to take on dangerous jobs for very little pay. At one point, he did work as a guard for Angie, but after repeatedly violating Ava's strict orders not to speak to her, Ava grew to dislike him and fire him. Angie seemed not to mind having him around, as he would often chat with her. This man has traveled between the Japan Self-Defense Force, the Foreign Legion, and non-government military companies. His skill in counter-sniping and protecting VIPs. He was much younger than the rest of the guards, but contrary to his outward flippancy, he'd hopped from the 1st Airborne in the JSDF to the French Foreign Legion, placing himself in overseas private military companies and high-class security companies, one after the other, making for a pretty incredible and unique career. But I heard he deserted both the JSDF and the French Foreign Legion, and that he'll be arrested if he enters France again. But both of these flippant episodes were very typical of him. The guards were sternly looking not to chat with me unnecessarily, but he came in and took a pass at me, didn't he? Aunt Ava was apparently particularly put off by that, and had supposedly dismissed him shortly before she died. It's been a while since I've heard that carefree tone. What happened after you got fired? I was coaching some people at Blackwater. When I came back to the country during my time off, President Okanogi offered me a high wage. So you deserted again? I wonder how a man like that can be useful for anything. Doesn't count as desertion as long as I come back by next week. I talked with him yesterday. I was told that some troublesome people might be coming to call on you, lady. Sorry that turned out to be exactly right. My name probably came up since I know you, and I've got lots of crazy experience. Thanks to you, it looks like I'm in for a happy vacation, plus some pocket money. So, Okanogi employed you as my guard? He probably wants you to buy some gratitude. Probably wants to buy some gratitude from you, lady. Okanogi. After I got fired, I was indebted to President Okanogi in various ways. I keep freezing. Why am I frozen? It's got some dirt on me here and there. But I can't say no to him. Ha! Seems that getting indebted to Okanogi can be pretty costly later on. So, where are you planning on taking me? Anywhere. I'm employed until the weekend. Anything after that will cost you extra. How much per day? Make it 50,000 plus expenses. If you stop cracking jokes, I'll double it. The period of employment isn't fixed yet. It might take several weeks. That'll be tough. I'll have to call my boss to get an extension on my vacation. More than anything, I want to investigate that day. Oh. Is this about Rokkenjima? Exactly. What happened on that island 12 years ago? I want to investigate it with my own hands and my satisfaction. To my satisfaction. Do you really expect to find anything new investigating something that old? True. But this is a journey for my own self-satisfaction. Once it's over, I'll just throw my hands up and go over to the Sumidera family. Didn't Aunt Kasumi say something about how she wanted to serve me some matcha? Maybe she'll serve me tea as I kneel on sharp wooden blocks, clutching stones or something. Damn, that sounds freaky. Oh, I froze again. Why do I keep freezing? Oh, there we go. We're gonna have to wind down soon, even if this doesn't get to the end of the chapter. My apologies. We lost sight of them. A single man, thought to be an associate, assisted in her escape. Judging by his possession of a stun gun and his driving skills, he's no amateur. I see. Thank you. What a shame, Okanogi. Shall I take this as your answer? Letting her get away was your blunder. It has nothing to do with me. I do wish to prepare some matcha for you as well in the near future. The next time you're in Kyoto, please stop by. I'll be going. Oh, are you leaving already? I could offer you some chazuke first. With her back still facing Okanogi, she laughed softly, but with an increasingly shrill and hateful tone, using that as a substitute for sharp parting remark. Just as she stopped laughing, her features suddenly changed to look like a demon's, but because her back was facing him, Okanogi couldn't see that expression. Okanogi watched her go, laughing coolly. His secretary whispered over his shoulder. Are you sure about this? Milady Anji is our company's primary stockholder. If the Sumidera family becomes her guardian. I get it. But you know, we're the world-famous Ushiramiyas. We can't let them take us lightly. Still, it looks like that guy managed it pretty well. All that's left to do is let Anji-chan do as she pleases. I'm counting on you, Makusa. Kasumi, the escaping car was a rental. The license plate they displayed was a fake. We're clearly dealing with a pro. They'll probably abandon that car. Pursuit will be difficult. Do we have the police chase them? Yes. Shall we have them search for our runaway daughter? They are getting paid with our taxes, so the police must be of some use every once in a while. When I left the mansion, I boldly told Mother to leave it. To me, didn't I? You intend to embarrass me further? It looks like it might be better for me to serve some matcha for everyone at once, doesn't it? Our underground tea room is cramped, so you'll have to wait in line. No, we will search with everything we have. Ah, she really is a cute kid, just like Nei-san. Especially the way that she freewheels and does as she pleases. Ah, now I can't see anything but Nei-san. I'm truly looking forward to it. If only I could invite Nei-san's daughter to my tea room, right? Freaky. Sumadera family sure do move quickly. Did Okanogi sell me out? You're joking. He's my client. He sold you out. He wouldn't have hired me, right? I guess that's true. Ah, so that's why you got off the elevator at the 3rd floor. Him having a car waiting in the underground parking lot was just too convenient. I figured Okanogi sold me out. So, I guess by now it's impossible to prove whether there was an ambush or not. I see. That poor president guy. Looks like you don't trust him a bit, lady. That car in the basement was mine. Hmm? He was talking about you, Amakusa? I freaked when the elevator came and was empty. I wonder what would have happened by now if I hadn't been listening in on their radio. What's going on? If I obediently believed Okanogi and gone to the parking lot, there would have been no need for me to do that jump off the 3rd floor. Pretty much, yeah. Well, it turned out okay in the end. Alright, I am gonna stop here. I am just getting fatigued. I'm not reading it as great as I want to either. And it's getting late. Okay, wow, we got a lot of story now to cover. There's a whole outside story with Kiri's family chasing after Anji. There's the sister with her like sadistic freaky tea room that she's gonna allude to that we'll probably see later in the story. The company and all the people trying to protect Anji, but maybe also just trying to get her money from a different angle. And simultaneously, the game is going on in Rokkenjima with Anji and... Wait, actually, hold on. Anji jumped off the roof, and we thought that was Baron Castell pulling her into Rokkenjima, but then she woke up in, you know, future Tokyo. I wonder what that means. I wonder how much of the story is going to be in Rokkenjima and how much of it's going to be out of Rokkenjima. Anyways, we'll be picking back up this weekend, probably Sunday, maybe Monday. But tomorrow and Saturday are definitely out. So look forward to that. We'll be picking up probably on Sunday. And yeah, be good to one another, make good choices in the meantime, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.